with the eastbound traffic, we have to make the U-turn.
Yes, so eastbound traffic on 45th Street will have to go down to the traffic signal at South Place. And when it turns green, then they can make the U-turn, come back on 45th Street and make the right turn on West Place to come into the community. But that's the only way into the community. It keeps all the traffic on 45th Street. Again, that was a safety requirement of Palm Beach County, because 45th Street is under Palm Beach County's jurisdiction.
Okay, so that means there's no left turn allowed on the eastbound traffic.
Correct. We initially approached the county with attempting to allow left turns into direct left turns into West Place. For safety reasons, they decided that they were not going to permit that to be constructed in that way, so that they will only permit it to be constructed in this way. And again, they control the permitting and design on 45th Street.
Okay, so there's going to be what is a medium barrier that will keep traffic from being crossed.
Yes, and it's shown a little bit here, because right now, Embarcadero Drive, coming up from the south, it's what they call a full opening, so you can make a turn in any direction at that opening. The county's also requiring, an additional cost on the project is to extend the median in the road over. It'll force all the traffic out of Embarcadero Drive now to turn right. Again, for safety, they're concerned about prohibiting them from making that left turn. But because of that, they also are requiring us to design it and construct it in a way that won't have a left turn lane coming in here to West Place. It will not have that movement. Another reason that they're not allowing that is that, again, another requirement that they've imposed on the project is to lengthen these left turn lanes on 45th Street going to Congress Avenue. So the fact that we're extending and bringing these left turn lanes back this way means that we don't have room to build them. Again, they didn't require it or didn't allow it because of safety reasons, but also we don't have room to build a left turn lane here to come up to West Place, because they're requiring the project to construct and build turn lane extensions for the left turn lanes that go onto Congress Avenue at 45th Street.
Any other questions, Vice Mayor? Any other questions, Vice Mayor?
I have others on the part, so that was my concern about that turning. What other restrictions did the county pose for intersection with the flow of traffic? Is there anything else specific?
Well, again, it's, so at the intersection at 45th Street, the only movement that's allowed is right out, so we can't make a left out, just like they're prohibiting now left turns out of Embarcadero Drive. This is restricted to right out, so traffic that's exiting is turning right out onto 45th Street.
So you mean if they come out of the airport, they have to make a right turn on the 45th Street, and if they're going to come to the town hall, they have to make a U-turn at the Congress light in order to get here, or something like that?
They'll have two routes, so they can make the U-turn there. The county also, and this is in the county's letter, said that that there has to be a requirement to allow, again, for them to permit and approve this on 45th Street, to allow traffic to be able to go out just on this side of Norman to get to South Place, to be able to make a left at the signal at South Place. That's only for any traffic that would be willing to go east.
So they will need to come through Boardman to get to the light.
To get to the traffic signal at South Place. And again, it stems from safety. If you talk to a representative from Palm Beach County, their biggest concern is safety, which is the reason that they're restricting a lot of these turns at the intersection. And they feel that the safest way for somebody to go east is to go to the traffic signal and use the traffic signal when it turns green to head east, rather than coming down, cutting across lanes of traffic, making a U-turn and going around. So they try to move traffic towards signals where they can, so they place that as a requirement on their approval.
Thank you very much. You clarified my question.
Okay, thanks so much. Any other council comments or questions? No comment?
The county has already approved all of what you was just talking about?
Yes, we have a letter from the county traffic division that was issued in 2019 that was based on their review. It's October 24th, 2019, and it outlined those conditions on 45th Street.
The other question I got is you're gonna have 30 buildings. Some of them's gonna have 4 apartments. Some of them's gonna have 5. And some of the buildings are gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, are gonna have 6. Is that correct?
Correct.
The other thing is, are all these buildings, are all the units gonna have a garage?
Yes, they will.
Okay. Councilwoman Green?
I only have 2 questions. Councilman, did you ask him? I think your question to him was, had the county approved the traffic that related, and his question, he didn't answer your question. He referred to a letter. He didn't give you a yes or no.
The answer is yes, and their approval is contained, their yes approval is contained in this letter from October 24th, 2019.
They approved what?
This was the traffic performance standards letter. I know you're very familiar with those. And as conditions of the traffic performance standards approval, they had 4 conditions related to these modifications that had to be made related to the access to the property on 45th Street.
No, my question is, if I could be misunderstanding you, but to make sure the public understand the way his question was phrased and the way you answered, made it seem as if you were saying the county had approved the use of Boardman.
Actually, they required it as a condition of their.
Could you give him a yes or a no to the question that he asked you? Make sure you ask your question.
So the county required it as a condition. They said, we approve this project under the condition that you're exiting traffic use.
Sir, your question. All you had to do was say yes or no to his question, and you can't do that.
The stated question is, does the letter contain a yes or no for the use of Boardman?
It's requiring us to, so yes, it's requiring us to, it's saying that that's a requirement of the exiting to happen on Boardman.
May I ask you a question?
Okay, so yes is your response.
No, that doesn't answer my question. In other words, are you saying that to exit the development, yes, you would be able to exit by Boardman? Using Boardman.
Yes, it would be.
No, you're saying that the county has given you permission to use That's all I had to say. That's all you had to say. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Green, anything? Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to make sure the county did not say yes, he could use Boardman to exit the development.
Right, he's saying that they're demanding that they do. Right, which is a.
A condition is not the answer, yes or no.
Well, that's one of their conditions. Now, if there are no other council comments or questions?
I have quite a few.
I have quite a few, but just, if you could just restate, because it's sort of a segue from the question that Councilwoman Green just asked.
Just for the record,
Now, just for the record, if you could just sort of restate the proposed access access improvements at South Place? Because I'm looking at the engineer's letter and I do see something there that I'll address a little later. If you could just restate that, please.
The improvement that's being made at South Place is to extend. Currently, as you're traveling east on 45th Street, extend this left turn lane that's eastbound to turn north or to make a U-turn, so that it will go back to a minimum, well, it's going back to 280 feet. So it's being extended by about a little over 100 feet from the length that it is today.
Okay.
Right, now specifically.
Right, now specifically, and you did receive a copy of the engineer's letter.
Okay, you did review.
Okay, you did review it?
Yes.
Now, on page 3 of.
Now, on page 3 of 5 of the letter, there was stated that at a minimum, that he had stated that South Place, of course, and I think in all of our conversations, it has been going from the 2 to 3 lanes. Could you address that for us? And the reason why we don't think it, from your vantage point, would be advantageous or prudent to do that?
Yes or no?
Yes, we read the letter that came from the town's engineer. We conducted a level of service, is the formal term for his level of service analysis. That was actually part of the study that we submitted to Palm Beach County and also submitted to the town during this review process. It showed that the project does not create a need, the project traffic does not create a need for another lane at South Place, that during the morning peak hour, if you look at the length of cars that are coming out of South Place to turn onto 45th Street, that it would be, that it's extended by about 10 feet from what it is today, and in the evening peak hour, it's extended by about 6 feet. That's less than the length of a car. Again, as we reviewed it, as the county reviewed it as part of their review, they required, as you see, a number of improvements. They did not require that because the study showed that's not required. The town code says that we have to meet certain level of service criteria, and our study shows that the level of service criteria for both the town and the county is met at that intersection without adding another lane to South Place.
And in their final review.
And in their final review, and comes to you in terms of the letter that you received, because I know at some point there has been a lot of conversations and a lot of meetings. At one point, the median that you're, if we can just go back to the 45th Street entry point, there at West Place.
They're at West Place.
They're at West Place, and of course the improvement, one of the things, of course, just in terms, just as it relates to the conversations over the year and a half that have been had, was that in terms of just allowing access, should the project be approved, was to allow the left-hand turn off of Congress, if you're heading east on 45th, to allow for that. So in their final review, you're stating that the county stated for safety reasons, they could not approve the median being adjusted. Because I know we were looking at, you were initially trying to block off the traffic from Embarcadero, which makes a whole lot of sense from being able to have egress into the proposed site. But that was their final
Comment to you?
comment to you?
Yeah, and we even worked on, this went through, I don't remember exactly how many iterations of concept drawings. We drew a few different iterations, including a couple that showed attempted at least to make a configuration where you can make a left turn from 45th Street onto West Place. Ultimately, the county decided for 2 reasons they were not going to allow that. One was safety and conflicts with traffic on 45th Street coming from Embarcadero. And the second was, as I mentioned, one of the final requirements was to extend these left turn lanes, 45th to Congress. The county determined in their mind that that was an important improvement that they wanted to see made. And by doing that, it shortened up significantly any distance we would have to construct a left turn lane in this direction. At the end, by extending these turn lanes, there's not room to build a left turn lane that meets the county standard to come onto West Place, because these turn lanes have been extended so far back. And again, that's what the county ultimately required after the review of multiple iterations.
Okay.
No, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Again, I do have other questions, but they relate to something else I'm going to do. Vice Mayor, you have something else before we go to the floor?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be more discussion of the 45th Street and the entrance into the enclave. So we do need to kind of keep that in mind. I'm noticing also in engineers report stating that there should be no impact on Bryn Mawr to the project start, so we need to make sure that's understood. The Bryn Mawr development will have no impact on the project during the development process.
Correct, yeah. Correct, yeah, all construction traffic would enter on West Lake.
So you're gonna have one street fully constructed before the development of the building.
Correct. I mean, at least for construction traffic, yes, it wouldn't. There's a final lift of asphalt and those types of things before the actually is approved and COs are issued.
I said the word foreman.
There's absolutely certain traffic for the construction of
I have realized it's traffic engineer. This is the moment.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Councilman Green?
That was my first question. I just wanted to ask you one other question. I have comments, but is it, I guess, could I leave my comments until after the audience has made theirs? I only have one comment to make, but I want to make it after the audience. Thank you.
Sure, if you'd like to
Thank you.
defer. Certainly.
Just make sure that there's no-
We'll just make sure that there's no other council comments or questions at this point.
Just one, when this project was started, there was to be no impact on Bryn Mawr. The Bryn Mawr residential area. And it seems as it progresses, it's more and more, there's more and more impact on Bryn Mawr. So we went from West Place. Now we're talking. We've had these discussions before. Now we're talking about Boardman. As far as Boardman goes, the county can't give you permission for that. We have to do that. And it just seems like every time we have a meeting or we have a discussion or anything we're doing like we're doing tonight, there's more impact on the Bryn Mawr. That's a nice, as far as I'm concerned, a nice neighborhood. In my opinion, this is gonna ruin the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And that's just me. That's just me. I guess it sounds like there's more people that think like me.
Okay.
Thanks so much, and
I think we've had sufficient conversation for here. We do have some comment cards.
you can just call them.
You can just call them
At
off.
this point
And
in
now,
time,
at this point in time, for those who are also attending by way of YouTube and
There is a
Zoom,
function that
there is a
allows you to
function
raise
that
your
allows you to
hand.
raise your hand. So if you would just do that online, and administration will ensure that they see your hand, and they'll allow you to ask questions as well.
We do have a,
Yeah, so we do have a,
okay, and we are recording.
okay, and we are recording.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay,
So if
thanks
you
so
would,
much.
Ken,
So if you would, Ken, you just call them off. You're the clerk.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a request from one of our residents, if I could read their comments.
Certainly.
This is from Mr. Robert and Ms. Tommy Skipper, 5400 Jeffrey Avenue, Magnolia Park. We are concerned with the amount of traffic at 162 units and 2 vehicles that will be created for residents, with only 2 points to enter and/or exit the area. Also, the amount of foot traffic, 162 units will create. Robert and Connie Skipper, 5400
Okay, and they
Okay,
are here.
and they are here, they are
If you have
present.
anything that
If you have anything that you'd like to say, add to
feel free to
it,
come to the
feel free to come to the mic and just state your name and address for the record.
About this youth section on 45th Street. not an impossibility. That traffic right now goes sometimes up to Presidential. Everybody that lives there can make that turn, that left turn, so it would be an impossibility to make a U-turn. It's just too congested with traffic, especially at times of early morning. The other situation with that traffic is that making that right turn on 45th Street to get to Congress will create another impossibility to come back east to make that U-turn in Walgreens. That's just from the traffic and looking at the 162 dwellings. I just did some simple, the average house has 2 cars. So now we're looking at 300 vehicles. Just got to exit that area. That's a lot of traffic. This car, the resident is over. 300 more cars coming out of there.
It's crazy.
That
Okay, thanks, we
Okay,
appreciate your comment.
thanks, we appreciate your comment.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, thanks so much.
Mrs. Smart?
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. We discussed safety aspects of this project, and it's really overly ambitious, and it is allowed to go forward. Residents, we're the ones that have to live with that now. Okay, you're saying that certain exits, certain roadways will be restricted. But if you allow this to go on, and if folks start late to work, then Metcalf is going to get calls. We got to do something about it. And we tell them that, well, when it's approved, it's not allowed, and they're going to say, why did you allow me to go into this development and spend this amount of money, knowing that I was going to have the aggravation of piling up and the safety aspect. There is nothing that says that this land use plan has to be approved. Nothing. You look at what happened in Newton Farm. And the gentleman bought 19.5 acres and they were going to put a new soccer court. They voted it down. Hey, Martin County, Mobile Land Development, something I used to work for, that's 18 years in, spent millions of dollars in Mountain County. Okay, years trying to get things approved. We were told no. We flipped it to Westbrook. They were told no. So that shut down operation. It changed my career. But that's what happens. When there's an investment, there are risks. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But what matters is the people. The people who have loyally supported this town. They have a vested interest in this community. We're your neighbors. And we're just asking you, please, I'm begging you, consider your neighbors. Mayor Albright, Councilperson Green, McConnell, Vice Mayor Johnson, we're your neighbors. So please consider us. Let your legacy be that, hey, we push the development highlight and we enhance this town. Not that we ruin this town by allowing a multi-family project to be put in the area that only was supposed to be 12 homes. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Mr. Johnson?
David Johnson, I live over in Brentwood. Most of you know, or some of you do, that I used to be in the county sheriff's office. traffic enforcement officer, and a vehicle homicide investigator. I took the time today to go over here where they're gonna put West Road through. Right now there's a 6-lane highway there. Three full lanes, one right turn lane, 2 left turn lanes. There's a break here in the median with a left turn lane westbound. So that people coming westbound can make the left turn and go into the Cadillac dealership. It's right smack with the West Road that they want to put in. There's no way that the county is going to extend that so that people can't make that turn there, or they're going to have to deal with Cadillac people. On top of which, they're not going to close off the people that want to make the left turn going westbound to go into the Embarcadero to go to the bank or to go over to the drugstore. They cannot extend that like they're telling these people that want to develop this land. In my experience, coming out of there, they're not going to make a right turn into the right lane and go up and make a right turn onto Congress and then make a left U-turn by the hospital and come back. Every chance they get, they're going to zip right across the road, not seeing if anybody's coming eastbound. And it's a wonderful prescription for traffic development. Palm Beach County traffic engineering, if they allow that to happen, shame on them. And the county has already told them that they cannot allow them to go down Borden unless they get your approval. And as the council, Magnolia Park, I think we should seriously allow that to happen. The left turn lane into South Place is ridiculous. You can't get there during 3:30, 6 o'clock at night unless you wait for half an hour. And if you go down to where you can make a left turn, you'll have to go all the way to 45th Street and Australian Avenue to be able to make a U-turn and come back. And it's stop and go from 45th Street and Australian Avenue all the way to the corner store where you can make the right on the Jefferson. This is a travesty. I look, and if you look at the Brynmore section, all our homes over there are roughly a third to a half acre. This property that these people want to develop is 14.6 acres. If you allow them to have a single family home on a third of an acre, rounded it up to 15 acres, that could be 45 houses. That should be the maximum allowed, is 45 single family houses. Not this monstrosity they wish to put in. And I think we need as a council and a town to tell them no, this is not acceptable for our community.
That's right.
And we can solve it right quick tonight, not allowing them to use affordable, period.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mr. Johnson.
Thanks so much, Mr. Johnson.
Ms. Moore?
As far as for the viewers can hear you, and you can identify yourself.
Josephine Moore, under the 1700 Ward from Athens. And, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. The traffic, I live right here on the corner. I bet most of you know where I live. And I have to take these big blocks outside of my house to keep the people who live in here from going over the the grant and everything. So what am I supposed to do with 162 development people back here living in 162? That's just in South Place, they're gonna be going on South Place, they're gonna be turning left on South Place. Are they? I mean, they're gonna be turning left on South Place, is that the plan?
I'm sorry, just for clarification.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, turning left into or out of?
Either way, are they gonna turn in or out of
Yeah.
South Place?
I don't,
You wouldn't be able to turn.
you wouldn't be able to turn in to get into the complex. Let's let them answer the question.
Good evening again, for the record, Chris Hagan with Finley Warren Associates. They would not be able to make a left into South Place. If they're coming on 45th Street, they would use that left turn lane to make a U-turn at the South Place intersection to go on 45th Street and go to West Place. That was the requirement of the county, the alignment. The changes, but they're not allowed to make a left onto South Place to come in.
Do they just know that, or how is that supposed to happen? Because the people who live here, we come in from 45th Street. So you're telling me the people who are gonna live back there are not be allowed?
They're not going to be allowed to come in South Place because they will be able to connect to the community, the only inbound movement.
Or they can come out?
I do have one slide that has some, it's got the arrows.
So you're saying it's only gonna come out of South Place?
1 second.
So they're only gonna come out of South Place?
This diagram shows the access. As you see, there's no traffic entering the community through South Place or driving on the roads within the Brentwood community, other than only coming in West Place. That's the only way in. So all of the inbound traffic you see on the left goes off of 45th Street, up to West Place, directly into the site. So there's no impact when the traffic is entering on any of the portion of the Brentwood community outside of West Place, because it's all restricted to West Place.
Every morning I'm gonna be locked in my home, trying to get to work and can't get out, because they're gonna be exiting the South Place in front of my house. Is that what's gonna happen? Then you know it's no use in saying we're gonna block the driveway. Forget it, these people are trying to get to work just like everyone else. They're gonna have to come out. So I'm gonna sit there until everybody goes to get out of my home.
The exit on the exit side.
Okay, I'm through.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'd like to clarify, I can, if not.
I'm through. But I want to ask the council members, have any of you driven this route, what they're saying you're gonna have to live by? Can I, yes or no?
Yes.
You've driven it?
Not with the traffic.
Not with the traffic, of course, but yes, daily, yes.
Well, not daily, but.
Well, not daily, but.
Can you imagine in the morning that many people coming and going, coming out of there?
It's
inarguable that if indeed that amount of traffic was to put on the 45th Street, and no one,
Are they gonna put lines down the street? Because we don't have any now. You don't have any, what's gonna keep them on their side of the road? We don't have lines down the street. And what's gonna keep them on these two lanes over here going into
Well,
South?
let's see if we can answer.
let's see if we can answer.
We have property over there too that belongs to
Okay,
me.
certainly. Let's see if we
Okay,
can
so
answer because
let's see if we can
I
answer,
think
because I think at times there are some, maybe they're sort of technical, but in conversations, and this is not pro or against, just answering your question. One of the things in terms of just conversation that if this were approved, in terms of just trying to make sure that you eliminate as much traffic heartburn as you possibly could, the answer to that would be yes. Because this body has the ability, if approved, there's no approval or disapproval, anything at this point, we're just having full discussion. Has the ability to require, in terms of safety and the welfare of our residents, that certain things happen, including speed bumps, which have been addressed as well to sort of help allay some of the concerns and the traffic and so forth. So yes, there are mitigating.
I've been living for almost
But to your point.
Right. But to
and
your
I don't
point,
think he
and I don't think he articulated
that,
clearly,
let's
that
just
let's just say that the project existed right now. So persons coming out, if they decided to come down Boardman, could only go south onto Boardman and then hit South Place to go
They
out.
wouldn't be able to come.
They wouldn't be able
at
to
the red
come
light,
at the red light or shooting through here anywhere else to come into South Place, make a left-hand turn to go into the complex because there's going to be a barrier at the turnstile by the property. So they would only have regress that is coming out, not egress going in.
Correct.
Correct, right. Yes, sir.
But yes, and
But
again,
yes, and again, as just stated, and I've stated for the record, we get caught in traffic all the time. So it would be
disingenuous
disingenuous of anyone to say that if indeed approved, this would not be additional traffic. It would be.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Certainly.
Oh, certainly.
I
Okay.
just hope y'all really consider this, not just jump into it because these people are, saying,
Okay, and thanks so much.
Okay, and thanks so much. I appreciate it. Okay, Ken?
Mr. Owens?
My name is Mr. Owens, Arthur Owens, 5301 Lakeshore Drive. I've built the oldest house been built in Magnolia Park in the last 40 years. I love this community, that's why I came here. I call it bedroom community for our area. Sergeant Johnson worked for me, and what he told you is the truth. We had the best traffic unit in Palm Beach County, really in the state of Florida. And when he tells you something, you can bound people, you can thank him. He was my traffic sergeant. And I want to ask you a question. All the people living around where we live, new information was supposed to get us about this meeting. Why didn't we have any information about this meeting?
Okay.
Why did we have information about this meeting tonight? I just found out about the meeting about this hearing on Saturday.
To your question. As required.
There were mailings that were sent out. We have a list of. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, as well as handle. I'll go to staff and they can explain the delivery process.
Clear back, every time this something comes up, your neighborhood has
We talked about the exit down by the Cadillac place. We said there would be no traffic on Boardman. I said, what's going to stop people from making a left turn, coming down Boardman, coming down South Place? You said, oh, they won't be able to do it. Now you're telling us that they will be able to do it. Who's going to stop them from making a left turn? When they coming out, who's going to stop them from making a left turn? Coming down South Place and make the right turn, come out for the street. Who's going to stop them?
Well, let me just make sure that I.
Let's just speak at, so that for clarity, that if the project was there right now.
If they're coming down.
If they're coming down, no, just so that again, if they were to try and come down Boardman, not heading south on Boardman.
Then get to South Place.
Then get to South Place and make a right to get to the red light?
That was your question?
That was your question? I just want to make sure.
When they're coming out, settlement in the bank that you want. When they come out, you go on Board, you can make a right turn to make a U-turn and come back. What's going to stop them from making a left turn on Boardman all the time and coming out from South Place and come back out?
Okay. The answer to your question as it relates to being able to, let's say someone's on 45th Street, they turned onto South Place, they make the left to come down Boardman. Nothing, to answer your question, nothing can stop them. However, once they get to the turn style, I call it, they won't be able to get into the property because there won't be a gate that would allow them to get in. So they'd have to come right back out.
the guy again, same question and Ms. Green asked me. He said, the county approved. I didn't, I'm on my third year. Let's just wait on him to say that the county approved. He didn't ever say that.
Right,
Right,
He said,
right.
right.
heard crickets.
What the
Yeah.
letter.
What the letter, and we saw a copy of the letter,
Mayor?
Nelson?
Yes, I would like to clarify, please, for the record, I'm Musa Zacharias, town planner.
I have the letter.
I have the letter
that the traffic engineer
from the applicant was referring to. The letter was issued October 24, 2019.
I think
there was some miscommunication that the traffic engineer will clarify. The letter, in fact, is not including any text or verbiage with regard to Borman, so he will clarify.
Sure.
Okay, still not saying that. My thing is, we've already got one project in here. The back of Mango Park.
Hampton Court.
And that's what that would be. You know, you say the town, the people going to buy them, they're going to rent. It's going to be, I don't know how many, different kind of people out there. This is going to be a community. Our public value and everything, it means something. And we do not want another project. Now I'm saying, I don't mind proving it, or make a half acre, or quarter acre, whatever. Put some houses back there, but not this. I'm gonna fight with everything I got to keep you going back there. We will let the council members, you take care of us, and we expect you to listen to us when we talk. We do not want this project. I have to, everybody who live over there, they don't want this project back there.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks so much, Mr.
Okay,
Owens.
thanks so much, Mr. Owens. All righty.
Anyone else can?
Anyone else can?
Willis?
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And I live on the last house on Gordon, right on the side of the Cadillac dealership, and I do not see how this is going to work any type of way. This is going to interfere with everybody that lives on the work, especially Mrs. Trader. She lives on West Place going back to the dead end. And now, simply to make a mistake, they come in off of 45th Street, they can't get out. So we're constantly having people making U-turns, coming around, trying to get out of our neighborhood. And when the trash trucks come on Tuesday, and the trash is, people put their shrubbery out, you can't even pass. You have to sit there and wait for the crane or the garbage truck to do what they have to do. It's awful. So if now people are trying to exit on South Place, on Boardman, and the crane or the garbage truck is there, that's really a mess. It's just going to interfere. Everybody's way of life is going to be noisy, it's going to be hazardous, and like she said, there is no stripes in the road to tell you what side of the road. You can just drive on any side of the road you want to with where we live at. So it's just going to be awful. And if you guys approve this, it's just going to be a catastrophe. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a catastrophe. There's no way else to put it. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Okay, all right, thanks so much, we appreciate it.
Okay, any
Okay,
other comments?
any other comments we have? Okay.
Mayor.
Just a moment.
Just a moment.
Just for the record.
Just for the record, if we have any comments by way of Zoom or
YouTube, there's
there's a 40-second delay,
If you see us sitting
and so if you see us sitting
silently,
silently, that's only because of the connection, so there's a 40-second delay.
There's a hand
There's a hand here, and we didn't have a comment card, but with council's pleasure, we'll have her come forward. Okay.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening. Good evening.
I'm Judy Dagger, and I live at
1628 Boardman Avenue. And my first conversation about this project, I was under the understanding that this was supposed to be single family, detached homes, not more than, as the gentleman stated, maybe 45 homes, not as much traffic there. And now, as I'm looking at this, and as I read on the information that I received via the email, we're talking about 162 multifamily townhome units. That's more traffic. That's more impact to our community. And townhomes are not single-family dwellings. They have a different value, so they will bring down the value of our community. So I'm employing this council not to let this pass. I'm imploring you to think about us as a community. I probably am the youngest person that has moved into this community, but since I've been here, I love Magnolia Park. I love the people, and I am standing here to fight for this. I'm here to fight for our community, to make it a better place. And I understand, trust me when I tell you, I work for a corporate company, so I understand growth. And I understand making changes and improvements. I'm all for that. But this does not make for improvement in our community. It does not make for improvement for the people that live there. It does not make for improvement to our property. The traffic here on 45th Street since I moved here has increased substantially. It takes at least 30 to 45 minutes starting from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 6 o'clock in the afternoon. But that traffic to clear just from people coming in and out of their jobs here on 45th Street and in this community, from the hospital and all of the other areas. So you add 162 unit townhomes that may have at least 2 cars. That is more impact on this community than we can take. I'm employing this council to not approve this plan. Now, if you want to go back to the single family detached housing, then okay, I can see that. That would be improvement. But to approve this, it's unacceptable to me. And I'm going to tell you, I am talking to all my neighbors so they can understand the impact on their property and the value of their property. So they can understand the impact of the traffic and what it will cost to them. That's all I have to say. I'm asking you guys, please, as our council members, we put our trust in you, we put our faith in you, we vote for you, and we're employing you as council members to take care of us as a community. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have someone there.
Mr. Ricketts?
Good evening. Good evening.
I hope everyone can hear me. I'm sorry I was not able to attend physically in the meeting personally, but remotely we can do this, and I'm going to try my best to say my piece. Let us second and understand what is happening to us. In the name of improvement, we are really regressing. We are really going backwards. We cannot afford what we have garnered over these years for this community to depreciate because of us making the wrong decision. Folks, it is a Trojan horse affair. And if this explodes, everybody's going to be affected. There's no way. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand the traffic flow and the situation that exists currently in this geographical location. And I know that our councillors, I trust their judgment, and you know that it cannot work. From the bottom of your heart, you must cast your vote correctly to help the citizens, the residents of Mongolia Park, especially this particular area that's going to be impacted greatly. Having listened to my neighbors, they all hit the nail on the head. It is actually impossible to have that flow of traffic at peak hours, entering from Congress, coming down, turning, making a U-turn to go up. Right as it is, the vehicles are coming across from over, I said Tiffany, I don't remember the name of it, coming across, and vehicles are coming down from going east to make that turn. It's kind of difficult at this stage at peak hours to get squeezed in one car, making a U-turn. I've been there many times, and it is very difficult for vehicles to make two cars turn. Because you're having vehicles coming from Tiffany, you're having vehicles making a U-turn. Therefore, having the vehicles that are going to go into this development, making a U-turn to go up to their turn, it is not going to work. And in the name of development, we cannot afford to lose sight of what is going to happen to us. As council members, please exercise your duty. We voted for you guys. We want you to represent us. You have been doing a good job. And I'm saying this, do not let us down. Do not approve this project that is going to destroy comfort. Apart from value, because nobody wants to purchase a place in a community where they have difficulty entering in and out. That's the first thing somebody coming to purchase a place here is going to think if you're ready to sell the property. Am I going to exit or in and out easily? How long is it going to take me to get this after rush to the hospital? How long is it going to take me to get to work? There are a lot of factors people are going to take into consideration. And this case would have been doomed. Because what we cannot take it back after we made this approval and people spend their money and build the building. What can we say after? We have the say now, and I am asking you to act wisely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, we appreciate it. Okay.
Alrighty.
For those who were wondering what I was watching him.
That was the purpose.
That was the purpose for that. Do we have anyone else?
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chandler? Mr. Chandler? Yes, sir, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Tom Chandler, 1612 Paxton Avenue. I'd like to also support a shout out to Dave Johnson. I'm very familiar with Retired Sergeant Johnson and his traffic investigation abilities. He's correct with the things that he is saying. I do know that. What you have here is a logistical nightmare. Okay? I want you all to, if you have an ability to take an aerial view of the place that we're looking at here, I'm going to call out a few places. We know where Walgreens is. Walgreens has multiple entrances and exits. Okay? We have a couple of businesses across the street. We have Cadillac, multiple entrances and exits. We have businesses up off of Embarcadero, multiple entrances and exits. They have Congress, they have 45th Street. They have the ability to go different ways. This community has one way in and one way out. Okay? The problem you have here is the first time you have a fatality, bad traffic crash, or anything right in front of that entranceway, you're stuck right there. Or they're going to have to open up these quote emergency gates and flood the community with excess traffic to get them in and out. Okay? You are creating a bad situation in front of that community. You're also, of course, we know that we don't like to drive sometimes if there's a community store across the way. They're going to have people coming out of that community at 162 residences running across 45th Street to try to get the Walgreens. You've now created more foot traffic where we already have problems with vehicular traffic. The logistical nightmare that we're going to put back there is not conducive to the people that live in this community. It's something that I don't want to see. We've got some retired people in here. We've got some older people in here. To get around 45th Street, and I've lived in that community long enough that there was no traffic light at South Place. Most of you know there was no traffic light at South Place years and years ago. You had to make that left-hand turn and hope that these cars were speeding down 45th Street. The extensions that you're going to use to make a turn are pretty much useless because the extension is being created because of the particular amount of traffic that's congested on 45th Street. Even if you do extend it 100 feet, which I don't see you being able to do, to make that U-turn at South Place on 45th Street back west is going to clog up all your traffic in that first one lane. Everybody's going to turn in there. You're not going to be able to make that turn. You're going to have people jumping up and down. You're going to have vehicular problems. I'm sure that we're going to have additional bus stops for children because you're putting in another community. We don't have any bus stops right on 45th Street. You're going to have to either create one or you're going to have a lot of children walking across there. You're going to have to make it on that westbound side. You don't want them running into the traffic to get on the eastbound side to catch a bus. I can understand some people's what they're thinking about driving down Boardman, but if I remember correctly, in the original conversations we had in town hall meetings, no traffic from this community was ever going to enter from there. None whatsoever. Only an emergency gate for law enforcement or from fire and rescue to get in and out. When you think about it, we wouldn't need an emergency gate to put up a correct intersection. If this was done right from the beginning, we wouldn't have these problems. Okay? The reason why Palm Beach County is saying you have to make the U-turns, they know the logistical nightmare. They know it looks good on paper, but when we implement this entire system, it's poorly designed. And the big issue we have here is a company wants to come in, build 162 homes, which are correct, 2 vehicles, 2 residents. People go to work in the morning, people coming home at night. The first time we have a problem like this, everybody's going to want to say we wish we could have stopped. We have the opportunity at this time to look at other options. We have other options. We don't have to stuff 160 units back here so that we sell them at top dollar. We can go with regular residences back here. Even like somebody mentioned, we can parcel it up, split it up, and you know what? If you maybe looked at that avenue, and I have to support the people that are mentioning it, we could utilize other streets. Sure, it's going to be a little bit more traffic, but it's not going to be anything close to what the plan is. We put our trust in the council. Everyone in these neighborhoods, and it's true, I will say not everybody got notices for these meetings everybody got that. Okay, I know that for a fact. I talked to people, they showed up after I spoke to them. Not everybody got them, whether they were hand delivered or whether they were just placed on the door and fell out. I know things happen, but not everybody got them. Okay? So some people were being aware of what was going on. Now, they also mentioned, if my notes are correct, they wanted to change the height of the berm and add a vinyl fence on top. I don't know about anybody's knowledge about vinyl fences, but that's the first thing that comes apart in a windstorm. Vinyl fencing is designed to come apart that quickly. Anything you put up on top of the hill, unless it's going to be tied back somehow, is just another problem. So we want to lower the berm from 25 down to 20 feet. We're going to add a 6-foot fence on top, which is going to be more than, not something that I want to see.
Okay.
There's more flying debris off the top of a berm.
Okay.
We're
Ready.
making
Look.
changes as we go along. Because you know, if you're going to have a 25-foot berm, the base of it's got to be minimum double that.
Okay.
So you've got space in there somewhere, and I'm sure the people that live currently on West Place, there's 2 homes down there, are going to have that traffic going by their homes on a
Okay.
regular
So, Mr.
basis.
Chandler?
So, Mr. Chandler?
People out of their homes while cars are
Okay, let's,
Okay, let's,
on that street. And I support the fact that they have to be able to get these things out of their homes.
so noted.
well, certainly,
And in
so
fact,
noted.
what we'll
And
do,
in
Mr.
fact, what we'll do, Mr. Chandler, I think the applicant has come for,
I think the applicant,
I think the applicant.
I'm sorry, there's a delay.
I'm sorry, there's a delay.
We're,
Okay, we're,
okay, let's,
let's,
okay, Mr. Chandler,
okay, Mr. Chandler,
it's going to take a little time.
it's going to take a little time to get to.
So let's do this.
Okay, so let's do this. The applicant, I guess, has come forward to address that. But just as he's coming, let me do this, and this is not an offense or anything else. But I'm holding in my hand the mailing labels that we have, and there are mailing labels, I think, for every resident here, particularly because it's sort of generated, if I'm not mistaken, because everyone get a water bill, correct?
No,
Okay, it's, no.
By law, I've been here for 22 years, and we, with COVID-19, and with the town manager's request, those notices were hand delivered. And they were emailed to those that are in his email address book. And we also do a legal ad, the attorney can attest to that. We notify the residents in this community, even those that are not within 300 feet of the required project. There are people in Bryn Mawr who are not entitled to even receive those notices, and we still deliver it to them. So I want this clear for the record. I'm stating that those notices were sent out by the town,
Okay,
by law.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't get them, I don't know why, but I know that they were hand delivered by Tavares Spencer from Public Works.
Okay.
And they were mailed.
Thanks, we appreciate, so noted.
Again,
I do have the mailing. Is it, just to that, since we're speaking of deliveries?
Anyone here is not-
If anyone here is not, or you're not getting your water bills as well? Anyone here?
So we want to make sure that we have.
So we want to make sure that we have addresses correct.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, but you normally get it?
Addresses haven't
Okay,
changed.
addresses haven't changed. So we'll get with staff just to make sure that the addresses on all of the mailing labels that was mailed out with the notice of this meeting, that it is your correct address, because I can attest to it that there was a mailing that took place, as well as a hand delivery by one of our public works individuals. So you should have had a hanging, a little plastic hanging on your doors.
Alrighty, so
Okay.
we'll.
Alrighty, so we'll make sure that
that
we can attend to it to see if anything did happen, but we can attest to the fact that took place.
Okay, alrighty, so
Okay.
let's do this.
Alrighty, so let's do this. So at this point, we have,
Any other?
any other person? Okay.
Ms. Ivory? Ms. Henrietta Ivory?
Good evening.
Good evening.
At the last minute, and just to echo everything that my neighbors have said, my husband and I reside at 5350 Jeffrey, and just to be reminded to the council members that when we moved into this neighborhood, we elected council members who we felt had our hearts and our best interests, and we take that to heart, and we will remember that, and we have a right to remember that each time we go to the polls. And you have a right to hear us out and to make the best decision that is in all of our interests. And I believe what we have heard tonight echoes, do not not do this to our neighborhoods. Do not do this to our streets. Do not do this. If everyone can remember, we had a huge string of crime recently, earlier in the year. I feel like to do this would add a crime daily. Just add crime times 5 daily. It would be a heightened level of crime, uncontrollable. And we don't want to live that way. We don't want 162 homes next to us. We don't want increased traffic. We don't want increased crime. We're asking you to consider our voices and to not do it. Do not do this. Thank you.
And thank you, we appreciate
And
your
thank you, we
comments.
appreciate your comments.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
YouTube or Zoom?
YouTube or Zoom?
Seeing that there's no one else.
Seeing that there's no one else, and we've had all comments here on the floor present.
Okay, so we're going to.
Okay, so we're going to take the two additional hands with the pleasure of the council. We're going to have these be the last two, because I think at that point everyone will have spoken. So we can give you just a couple minutes, Mr. Chandler, and then we'll go here as well.
We'll come back to council.
We'll come back to council in just a moment.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I'm Noe Schrader. I'm one of the ones that live on West Place. And for sure, we won't be able to get out of our houses. Please, do not do this to our town. I've been here over 45 years. And I'll be here till I die. Please. None of the money. That is what's going on here, the money. Thank you.
And thank you, we appreciate
And
it.
thank you, we appreciate it.
Okay, now last comment.
Okay, now last comment here, sir. Just come to the mic and just state your name and address. Yes.
Okay, I'm still, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, you, okay.
My family name is not on that list. Look at the list.
Okay.
Okay, well.
Okay,
We'll take a listen.
Okay, we'll take a listen. If it wasn't, we apologize in advance, but we'll take a look just to verify. Okay. Ready? So with that, we've had full discussion from the floor, and thank you so much for all of your comments. We do appreciate it. So at this point, we'll close. There's no one else? YouTube or Zoom? Okay, so at this point, we'll close the floor to public comment. We'll now come back to council. We're going to ask if you just come forward. I'm sure there's additional questions and statements you may want to make. Councilman
Yes.
Green?
Yes. I wanted to be last. And let me say something to everyone here. I have no animosity toward anyone. All of us on the mayor, on this dais, we all work together. But I want to say, going to the young lady who just spoke, I've been here in my house 30 years. And I know a lot of us could have moved. I didn't want to move. When I retired, I had a reason for wanting to stay and remain in Mangonia Park. And I'm proud to say this has absolutely nothing to do with color. But I noticed the attorney spoke first. When you said something about disconfiguring within the project. And I remember Mayor, and the mayor and I get along very well. And I'm going to say something, and I don't want you to think that the mayor and I don't get along. I do. But years ago, when I was in the state, going back, and I remember doing the same thing we are doing now. Begging the council. I was not a part of the council. But I begged the council, do not put Hampton Court on the track. And the reason I said that is this, young lady, it is about money. But it's about our money. I don't know you, sir. And I know you're supposed to make money. You are a developer. But when you start putting those type of things, our communities, and you are bothering with our money. You're depreciating the homes in our community. And I'm proud to say when Virginia Baker became county administrator, I had been 8 years looking at that piece of property. The Howleye property. So what this is about is you have the most expensive piece of property in South Florida on this side. And you want to put another affordable housing on this side. Now which one would you want if you lived in the neighborhood? When this is developed, our property goes up. When this is developed, our property goes down. I could have remained here, Mayor. I don't mean any harm with you. I was waiting for you to speak up for it. You moved from here. You don't live here. You don't live here.
I'm sorry.
I want to stay here. He lives in a beautiful community.
Councilwoman Green, I'm going to correct you for the record. My permanent address is 5712 on Mortgage Company, my mail, everything, including this body. So please do not speak concerning something you don't know.
You have never
come to my house. You've never come inside my house. So please don't speak concerning things you don't know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyway, I live here. Virginia Baker made the statement. She did not want affordable houses put on that piece of property. For a reason. That piece of property, I'd like to see it developed to where it helps everybody in Palm Beach County, because not only do we need affordable homes, we need jobs for everybody. So that piece of property can help everybody. That was one of the reasons I remain here. That's what I want to see developed. I'm glad Mr. Owens made the comment about this community is the only two black communities in Palm Beach County that are considered bedroom community. You can go to Wellington. And ask, can you put that piece of property there? And you're going to say no because it would cost too much to build it there. Well, then why don't you ask them, can you lower the property? Build the same thing in Wellington at the same price you're building here. And I'm saying what I know because I got a divorce and I moved to Mangonia Park because they had just built Tiffany Lake. Beautiful. Bought it for $27,000. I tried to buy one and Wells Fargo wouldn't approve it because of the financials had gone down, so they were so bad, they were so low. Tiffany Lakes is just like you want to build back here. They've improved it now. It's beautiful. And I'm gonna say it again. It looks much better than the hill section. We have.
Let me see if I can kind of jump in and explain some things. Ms. Daniels came up and she stated, I'm sorry, let me let you finish and then there's some things I'll address. Councilman Green, you have the floor.
There are five of us up here. You are the mayor, but we all have the same power. So don't disturb me anymore.
When you speak disparagingly of your own town, that sort of, but go right ahead.
I'll say again. When we dumped the Hampton Court on the railroad track in Mangonia Park, I'm standing, sir, because we hurt my people. I don't want to continue to put my people on a railroad track. And that's the first thing out of your mouth was a railroad track. Now, if that's going to make you think that I'm downgrading my people, no, sir, I'm black too. So I take it as an insult when you insinuate that I'm insulting my own people. I'm just telling the truth. Now, if the truth hurts, it'll hurt. But I'm saying I'm giving you reasons why I'm proud to see that this community finally stood up and fight for themselves. And I hope you continue to fight for yourself. Because if you Google and ask the question, how many homes are for sale in Mangonia Park, you'd be surprised. And to find out how many people are purchasing those homes. Because they know what's coming to Mangonia Park. So hold on to your property. I'm holding on to mine. I'm 77 years old. I'm too old to move. But when I do move, my property will be worth whoever is going to get a member of my family. I don't need to leave town. I don't need to run for Mangonia Park. But I don't need you, sir, to come in and run me out. And I'm not going. And I will continue to say just what I'm saying now. Because there are five council people up here. We all have the same power. We are council and he's the mayor. That only remains I respect him and I expect him to respect me. And all I got why I wanted to say again, and I'll say again. You made a remark, Mayor, that this was not for or against. I will say to you and the council and them.
I can say no
I can say no now, and I will say no at the final vote for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. I'm,
If I could take just a
if I could take just a minute and a half at most of digressing for a moment, some intrepidation I say this. In part, we're in this, Highlight hasn't been in operation since it was Highlight.
I can't count
the number of meetings that I've attended as it relates to proposed developments of Highlight is still undeveloped since Highlight was made subject of, speak to Mr. King constantly regarding potential developments about Highlight.
So let me just be
very clear.
If there is
no development here, and I'm not speaking for or against this project, I'm speaking in general because I took to heart what you said. I watch nationally as national politicians go up and they say things that are sort of perfunctory, politically correct, but they're not being honest with their constituents. So let me be honest with you.
Hampton Courts was
brought up as a dumping ground. Let me sort of explain to you, just in brief. I walked, and you may not have been home, you may not have lived here at the time. I walked literally to every house knocking on the door, sitting in people's homes for over a month and a half. Here's what's being proposed. Here's the information. You let me know how you feel about it. The majority of the individuals that I spoke with, and McConnell was here, he can verify. Alan Palmer was sitting here, he could verify if you would have called him.
The majority of the people,
and of course we live in a representative government where the majority makes the rules, makes the decisions, and the majority stated they were in favor of the project. So let me just kind of state something else as a fact.
Hampton Courts keeps
Mangonia Park financially alive.
If Hampton Courts had
not, and it's not about the money, it wasn't about the money when I walked up and knocked on every door. But if Hampton Courts was not here right now, this time would be bankrupt. We just passed a budget that we worked on, and we had workshop after workshop after workshop after workshop trying to make sure that we could have a balanced budget.
Surprise,
we're in the middle of a pandemic. So there was a lot of income that we lost, and we're trying to figure out, how do you balance this budget with everything going up and the revenue going down? So it's not just about the money, but it's about the money. Right, and if you're not financially solvent, then what basically happens is not basically, then what happens is the state comes in,
you got to get everything
in order, you got to prove that you can be financially solvent. If not, then you go into what's called receivership. I'll turn to the attorney if I'm incorrect.
You're
going to receivership, and we have had a town in Palm Beach County some years ago that happened. And if indeed they give you a certain period of time, and if you can't correct that, then you lose your town.
And so the question
becomes that if no development, I'm being very honest and transparent, Ms. Daniels.
So if no
development at all, and again, I'm not supporting at this point yes or no, but if no development, that includes Highlight, any other development that may not, if it does not happen, you're about 2 years away based upon what we have in terms of our revenue versus our expenses, about 2 years before that happens. So what we really need from the residents is some ideas, some suggestions, some assistance. How do we go about attracting new businesses to come in? Businesses that you like.
I know
you elected us to be able to go out and do that. So to that, and this is where I mean no offense. I honestly mean no offense.
Some years ago,
when Councilwoman Green was the county commissioner, I had two meetings with her.
This was before
any of this ever came about.
So how do we go about helping to develop the
Highlight? How do we go about doing improvements within the town?
Ms. Green, your
words was you were not going to do a blank thing for the town of Mangonia Park. Two separate meetings.
So we went about
trying to figure out how in the world could we get anything done. Well, Hampton Courts came.
Maybe it wasn't necessary.
Maybe it wasn't necessary if we had got some assistance, and to be honest with you, and perhaps county officials will get on my case for saying this because this is a matter of public record. We got no assistance from the county. None.
Still haven't. From time to time,
we may get something thrown our way, but we got no assistance.
So
we're sitting out here in little old Mangonia Park trying to figure out how do we keep us alive.
You don't understand.
You don't understand the nights of agony. Trying to understand how do we go about making sure that we can bring in business to make sure that we don't get annexed. So the question ultimately becomes at some point in time, if things don't change,
where do you want to go?
Riviera Beach or West Palm Beach, because we will be annexed probably within the next 2 to 3 years if nothing happens.
So I'm looking at things
and again,
for me, and I
for me,
drive,
and I drive, and perhaps
I
I think too much. So
I'm
knowing that this meeting is going to take place, so I'm driving all throughout the Palm Beach County, Delray, when I'm down there. If I'm out in the field and I'm driving back, I'll drive down the highway Boca and Fort Lauderdale. And so here's what I saw.
In
Boynton, right behind where I grew up, there's a rental apartment community, over 350 units. I stand to be corrected. That's being built.
They spill
They
off
spill off onto Seacrest.
I grew up in Boynton.
If they try and make a left-hand turn on Seacrest, they're going to get creamed.
They're going to put
medians and buffers so that they can only come off Seacrest and head north onto Seacrest. They would have to go up to Martin Luther King Boulevard, loop around, and head south.
I'm not saying
I'm not saying that that's justification for what's being proposed by the developers. I'm not saying that at all.
In Lake Worth, there's
a new rental community with about 200 units right on Dixie, right before you get to the McDonald's, and then, of course, you cross over to West Palm Beach. Beautiful new community that's being built. Our rental community. They're going to spill off into Dixie.
There's no red light.
There's no red light.
And so my point is,
I can go on and on. My point is, I don't know what the county has done as it relates to relaxing their rules, maybe, as it relates to public safety and allowing egress and regress into and out of proposed developments. I don't know. I don't work there, but I see development after development after development in the very same situation this development here.
So the bottom line is,
and yes, you're absolutely correct, Ms. Towner.
It's not about the money.
It's not about the money. It can't be about the money.
But ultimately,
it's about the money if we want to remain a Mangonia Park. It is about the money, unfortunately.
Because right now again,
and looking at the budget that we just fought over, we had too many meetings for a $4 million budget, just too many. But we're trying to figure out with everything going up, except our revenue, how do we continue to maintain Mangonia Park?
So that's as clear
as I can and transparent as I could get, and giving you total honesty that at some point in time, the property has to be developed, maybe not this time.
We'll find out
shortly. But here's the other thing to consider, then I'll close with this. I think someone stated that, yes, they'd be in favor of 45 houses.
45 houses?
45 houses.
Well,
let me tell you how many meetings I've had since I've been sitting on council by developers who wants to build up to 45 houses. None.
It's just not financially
feasible. Developers, no offense, developers don't enter into a development to lose money.
It would be a total loss.
But now, however, as it would affect Boardman residents, here's how it would affect you. That if indeed someone were to come, we say no to them tonight, and someone were to come tomorrow and say, I heard the meeting, I build single-family homes, I want to build up to 45, which they can do. And I think that's which they can do.
There would be,
at a minimum, 95 cars
coming in and out of
Boardman every single day, because they would not be required to build West Place.
So there will be traffic
coming through Boardman regardless of what's being built there. 45 single-family homes, 162
townhomes.
The difference here is that they're now proposing, let's take some of the stress off of Boardman by having this separate entrance where we hope that people will come in and out of the complex, of the development, as opposed to going in and out of Boardman.
We fought and fought
because just in case they're allowed to build this thing, how do we then, and this should have been the focus of every council member sitting here, and I think it was, because we haven't made any rash decisions. This has been a year and a half. How in the world do we
sort of massage
this thing so that it has the least amount of impact possible if it has to be built?
That's what we've engaged
in for a year and a half. So there are no haphazard decisions being made. No decision has been made.
I'm sorry.
I'm going on, and I apologize, but
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard.
And
I just say again that if there's no development, specifically with highlight, and about 2-3 years at best, choose your destination, south or north, West Palm Beach or Riviera Beach, because we will be annexed.
And they're going to build that.
By any means necessary.
Because we will be viewed
as a stepchild. It will be built.
Alrighty, so
we have the floor closed. If there's any other, we'll only go back to the floor if we have council's permission to do so.
Okay, so Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, I'm sorry, Mr. Owens, my dear friend Owens Jones, Mr. Owens. Okay.
Yeah, my name is, Mr. Owen. 301 Lakeshore Drive. We heard what you said about the other development that's being built. And, you didn't elaborate on what area are they being built? In the community?
Yes,
Yes,
yes. In fact, the
yes.
ones in
In
Boynton,
fact, the
of
ones
course,
in Boynton, of course, like I said, right where I grew up on 8th Avenue, right across from St. John Missionary Baptist Church and Seacrest. Right, so it's a residential community. If you were to drive down Seacrest, Martin Luther King Boulevard, you just keep going past St. John's, a big white church on your, I'm sorry.
On your left,
On your left,
right, you will see
right,
that
you will see that you can't miss
nice
it.
developed
It's a nice developed three-story rental apartment
The ones in
units.
Lake Worth,
The ones in Lake Worth is on Dixie Highway. There's a place called World Thrift.
a thrift shop, and
A
then
thrift shop, and then there's like a plaza, right? It's about maybe a couple of blocks south of that, on your right-hand side, on the west side of it.
I took pictures.
I took pictures of it.
Well, certainly.
Well, certainly.
My thing is, if you allow, the project to be built, the homes, 45, homes or whatever, the developer coming in, why can't we make the same, demands on him when the groups have an egress and egress like we doing for these 166 families? I mean,
They're-
doing it.
Right, their trip count.
Right, their trip count and,
They come in with a plan,
Mhm.
we demand, and that's what you're here for. That's what we're here for.
We-
Make them do something for the town.
Right,
right,
okay, now, the
okay,
one
now,
thing that I can
the one thing that I
answer,
can answer, then I'll go to our planner. I can answer from the standpoint, because, you know, we have had a conversation, then they just kind of walk off without a full discussion. Is that,
it's not profitable?
it's not profitable.
By the time you consider.
By the time you consider, what is it,
cost?
it's gonna cost?
Couple $100,000?
Couple $100,000 for that
So if
road?
you consider
So
that
if you consider that 45,000
the average
homes,
builder
the
would
average
probably
builder
earn
would probably earn, what,
40,000,
about 40,000, 50,000 on each unit that you
A
sell?
little bit more, maybe?
A little bit more, maybe?
Let's just say
100,000, let's just say 100,000. So that's, 400,
Okay, so when you
okay?
consider.
So when you
that
consider
bulk
that bulk margin, that profit
just
margin,
doesn't-
it just doesn't,
It's not financially.
it's not
feasible
financially
for the
feasible for the
developer
developer to spend that much money developing a roadway when the trip count, and this is where I'll go to our
Would
planner.
that
Would that a number of trips require an additional roadway, or just from a planning perspective?
Yeah, that will be determined by a traffic study, and also, the traffic engineer is right there, he can determine that. But, definitely, that will be also, reviewed by Palm Beach County for concurrency. So, he will have the specific number.
Okay.
Okay.
Chris Hagan, Family One Associates, the traffic engineer, for 45 homes, if we were to conduct the analysis, there are two requirements that we have to meet from a traffic perspective. One is we have to meet the county's Article 12 from their Land Development Code, which governs countywide concurrency. And then for the town of Magonia Park, in your code of ordinances, section 8.5-4 gives your concurrency requirements. Those are the two that would have to be met. A 45-unit single-family development could still meet the criteria if their traffic all came in and out of South Place. It could still meet both the county and the town of Magonia Park's concurrency requirements without constructing West Place.
Okay.
Alrighty, that
Sufficiently answered, or?
sufficiently answered, or Ms. Owens, or?
Okay.
Okay.
The way it sounds, has us thinking that, it had to be that.
Oh, no.
No, remember I said, I haven't taken a position. No.
Right. No, what I spoke to.
No, what I spoke to, and I hear what you said. No, what I spoke to was that, remember I said, I haven't made a decision one way or the other, so it doesn't, so it has nothing to do with this specifically, but generally speaking, that yes, if indeed someone were to come.
Correct, but.
Correct.
But my statement was.
But my statement was, they would not be required to build South Place. They'd come straight down, in and out of Boardman.
The 95.
The 95, at least 95 cars a day, additional.
West Place, I'm sorry.
Not West Place, I'm sorry. They wouldn't be required to build West Place.
No, again,
This is just information sharing. I try and be transparent and very straightforward and. Okay. Alrighty, so,
Saying that it's okay for 95 cars to go past your home?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta go by your home.
I'm saying, it's always another option besides putting them in 66 units. We don't want that.
I do know my limited time on council the last 12.5 years, we have had a few other developers that have come, some having single family homes, but they found it not cost effective in that area.
But now you're saying it is cost.
he gave the traffic information. Yep. Okay.
Alrighty, we have a hand
Alrighty,
here.
we have a hand here, then we're gonna close public comment, then we're gonna come to Councilwoman Green after this.
So my question is, if they're gonna build, detached single-family property, homes, why couldn't we have the same stipulation for entrance and exit, on West Place?
Okay.
Why couldn't we vote that in and say, this has to happen in this way, so there wouldn't be as much traffic flowing are coming into South Place, in and out.
Okay, let me speak from a
Okay, let me speak from a legislative standpoint, then I'll go to our planner, then I'll come back to Councilman Green.
They're not gonna spend the
Because
money.
they're not gonna spend the money.
That's the straightforward
That's the
answer that
straightforward
we've always
answer that we've always got. It's too cost effective, too costly,
The profit
and
margin
the
just
profit
shrinks.
margin just
They're
shrinks, and they're basically building the houses for
So
free.
they're not gonna, we can
So they're not
require,
gonna, we can
yes.
require it, yes.
We can stipulate that.
We can stipulate that you have to build West Place,
and
and they'll walk off and say, never mind, as they've done before.
Okay?
Okay?
Nilsson?
Ready? Nilsson, anything to that? Or
Yes.
Right before, Councilman
that.
Green,
Just like that.
planner first, and then we'll come right to you.
No, I was just going to restate what the traffic engineer already mentioned, that at 45 homes, the level of service, they will not be required to build West Place.
Okay, thanks, Nilsson. Councilman Green.
This is just for me. Why do it sounds like to me that you all are. Sound like it's already approved.
No.
No, I'm just saying, it sounds like during the discussion, I was sitting there, I would think it's already approved. I just asked because that's the way it sounds like.
No, as a council member,
There has been no vote.
there has been no vote taken, as you know.
Right, it's just.
Right, it's just, we're trying to make sure we have full discussion.
make sure that
We want to make sure that
we're
we're attending to the concerns of our residents, so no decision, as you know, has been made.
That's
That's
part of the process.
tonight. So, Vice Mayor?
Yes, I just wanted to direct this to the legal and planning team. In regard of a developer coming forward to the town, requesting to develop a portion of property. I know the attorney said there are several steps or, phases that they have to go through. When a developer comes with their proposal to develop, they have to review all of this criteria, right, attorney?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
And how many steps have already been reviewed for this particular development?
Well, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, this is, they're going through the planned unit development process, which is a very lengthy and complicated process. So there were staff level meetings that have happened. They've got, probably most importantly, they've received their special exception approval, which allows the development of the site as a residential planned unit development. Generally speaking. That has been approved. There was a variance approved for, to allow multifamily buildings, correct me if I'm wrong, to allow, I think, 6 units per building, where the code would require a maximum of 4. So they've been granted that variance. And then we've done some other work with our code to facilitate the use of private utilities, sewer utilities in the development. So all of that has already happened. What's before you tonight now is it's not called conceptual, but it's the land use plan, which, again, as I said, the configuration of the site. Again, this is all residential and it's all one phase, so there's no phasing and there's no different uses to talk about, so it's all residential and it's all in one phase, but, the master plan, I think that the topics the council's discussing in terms of the roads, and that is part of the master plan, and then the waiver for the buffer around the edge of the master plan, that is all what's on the table tonight. After tonight, once a master plan is approved, whether it's this master plan or some other master plan, then you finally get to the end of the project, which are the typical things that we usually see, the preliminary site plan approval and then the final site plan approval, which is where you get into all the details and the landscaping and the aesthetics and you really get into the weeds on it, but that's still in the future. So that's where we've been, that's where we are, and that's what is still ahead.
Legally, if the decision would come to not move forward this master plan that we're talking about tonight, what would happen?
Well, presumably they'd have to come back with a different master plan that would attempt to address the concerns that have been raised this evening. As I said, the special exception to develop a PUD, residential PUD has been granted. Now, it's the master plan approval. If this master plan was not approved, then back with a different master plan and get that approved. But the denial of this master plan, in my opinion, does not deny the entire project. It's saying you don't like this master plan and you want a different master plan. And then the ball will be back in the developer's court as to how they're going to proceed at that point.
Okay, now I want to direct this to the plan. There are some major traffic concerns with this master plan. Major traffic concerns. What you see as a developer, as a planner, can be some consideration that can meet the concerns of our residents.
Thank you so much, Mayor. First of all, I want to clarify that the letter from Palm Beach County, I have it in my hand, does not include any statement with regard to Borman. I just think that there was a misunderstanding that the traffic engineer will clarify, but this letter from Palm Beach County does not include any statement with regard to Borman. So that's number one. Also, on the staff report, says the Palm Beach County Traffic Engineer Department is consenting to install a barrier gate as a traffic control device on the intersection of Borman Avenue and West Place. The subject device will allow to manage traffic flow by opening the gate during peak hours. Another statement. During the development construction phase, traffic will not be allowed through the residential neighborhood streets. The traffic generated by the construction of the enclave Armangonia must only circulate through West Place.
I'm sorry, just here.
There's only 3 houses on West Place. They're the ones that are really going to be impacted now that I hear about this gate that's going to be closed off to Boardman.
You're talking about a mess.
Are you people prepared to buy out these 3 homes that are here on West Lake, because we're gonna be dead there. And our properties are gonna go down in value. Do people understand that? And I know you do because you wanna make money, but it's okay. Everybody wants to make money.
Yep.
But you gotta put yourself in our places. Especially me, I'm 84 years old, I'm there, I borrow people that are in and out of my house.
These are people you need to talk to.
Okay.
I'm going to do the.
I'm going to do that very quick, and then we have to move.
Matter is saying that because I was under the impression that it wasn't supposed to come through the board. So, when did that change?
Now, let me just.
Now, let me just be clear. In terms of the conversation.
Right, no, in terms of.
Right, no, in terms of the initial conversations, and even from here, we've always stayed, at least from a legislative standpoint, that being your elected officials, it is our desire that it never goes through Boardman. So we've expressed a concern that it don't go through Boardman. As it relates to the administrative issues and so forth, I'll allow them to speak to that after this quick comment.
Telling you that there's gonna be a gate there so they can't come through Boardman, except keep traffic out.
Amen.
Which is rush hour.
Amen.
So you're gonna have a same bus.
Thank you.
Coming through the
Amen. Amen.
And I think if you pass this, it should be extended.
No, and to your point.
No, and to your point, I understood that, but I was clarifying that, no, our conversations have always been, we don't want it going through Boardman. To the point that early on, and the applicants will attend to this, including the previous proposed developer who wanted to build, we have always wanted it to go through, what's the?
Section over here with the.
Apartment complex, so that they go off onto Congress. That's always been our desire. And I share it with the residents in times past. When we had one developer some years back, that we had a gentleman's agreement, and we take full responsibility that we didn't codify that in writing. So that when the apartment complex, North Shore, the apartment complex, so when they sold and another owner came and bought, they're like, what are you talking, we don't know what you're talking about. So now that this came before us, let's go back and remind them that they told us we could come through. They had sold, and we didn't get it in writing, so that responsibility falls on us. But that was always our desire, that it goes off into Congress. So that, yes.
Okay,
so they're chomping at the bit, so we're going to have them in about 5 minutes, and then we'll begin to wrap up.
I'll be as brief as possible. Again, first thing I did want to mention was, as your planner stated, she is correct. When I was up here, there were actually 2 pieces of correspondence from Palm Beach County. One was the TPS letter. The second was, it's dated May 31st, 2019, from Mo Al Turk, who's the director of the Palm Beach County Traffic Division. In this correspondence, this is as we were going through the iteration process and went through different scenarios. This is where some of the conditions here are repeats in the TPS letter, and then some of them are different, but the county did clarify that we're required to abide by both what was in the TPS letter and what was in the director of the traffic conditions correspondence. But condition 2 on there says, Warren Avenues remains connected to West Place to maintain access to the signalized intersection, the intersection of South Place and 45th Street. They clarified after that that it only needed to be, in their mind, connected for outgoing traffic. Incoming traffic, community could be blocked off, but that they were adamant that that's what that condition was. But again, I apologize, the piece of correspondence I referenced earlier, back, it was May 31st, 2019, correspondence from the director of the county traffic division. But again, they placed those conditions. It said that we needed to abide by the conditions both in the TPS letter and in the director of the traffic division. The other thing was, and again, we fought for trying to minimize the traffic as much as possible in this discussion. That was a concern from the town. Ultimately, that was required. It was one that we sought out. It was one that the county placed in required. And I know that town staff on multiple occasions, with the town consultant, I believe the town manager, also also contacted the director of the traffic division to try to fight against that condition. So again, it wasn't anything that we sought out, it certainly was not something the town sought out. Both of us have tried to seek ways around it, but it was imposed by the county. Going back to this, the diagram, I did want to emphasize again that when you look at all incoming traffic is coming up 45th Street, only up West Place. So the only impact is coming up West Place. It completely stays away from the entire rest of the Bryn Mawr community. That's half of the traffic is inbound, is coming in, half the traffic is going out. So half of the traffic that's coming in doesn't touch any part of the Bryn Mawr community other than coming up West Place. Just confined West Place. And you have to come in somewhere because the project doesn't directly touch any major road. We have to come in somewhere, and that was by far the least impact. And again, all inbound traffic only comes in on West Place. On the outbound side, originally, you tried to, again, work with the county to have it all just coming out West Place. They had in place this condition, that there had to be the other route. But the majority of the traffic, we run traffic models, we do the analysis, the county reviewed it. They also concurred with the results of our findings that the majority of the traffic is going down West Place to 45th Street, turning right, because it's going to I-95, it's going to Congress Avenue, and there are more destinations for that traffic to go that are taking it directly out to 45th Street and turning right. A minority, much smaller amount of the traffic is coming down Boardman. And to give you an idea, there's a lot of concern and a lot of numbers being thrown out in speculation. We'll go to the slide where we showed some of these numbers. Again, on the left-hand side, this is in the morning, you see all of the traffic is coming in, actually, these are the percentages, so go to the next slide. All the traffic is coming in up 45th Street, so you can see that traffic is turning right. The 17 cars are turning right from 45th Street to come up West Place, not touching any other part of the Bryn Mawr community. As they're heading out in the morning, there's 41 vehicles coming straight out to 45th Street in the peak hour, and then 17 coming down Boardman. So the impact in vehicles is 17 cars over the course of the peak hour. These volumes are reviewed by the county. They follow the studies that the county has done by how much traffic is generated by multifamily communities. And I'll emphasize again, this is during a peak hour. So not everybody comes and goes during a single hour. People come and go at over, for example, in the morning. Some people are leaving home at 6:30 in the morning, some are leaving home at 7:15, some are leaving at 8, some are leaving at 8:30, 8:45. So over a few hours, you have that. But what we measure and what we look at is a single hour, 17 cars in the course of 1 hour going down Boardman that's being added to. When we counted out there was roughly 50 to 60 in the morning peak hour on that segment. The requirement that we are required to meet by the town code is your roads have to be what's called level service C or better. It's well below, we're in the level service D, level service A range, which is the best condition as the grades go C, D, F, that's worse. So A, B, and C are okay. We're in the A and B range, even with traffic on this development. Your legal requirement for concurrency is we have to be level service C or better. So the concerns about not even being able to get in and out of driveways on a level service A or level service B, even a level service C road, you can get in and out of your driveway. It doesn't get to that level of congestion. We're meeting the town requirements, and again, the total volumes are going to be 60 to 70 vehicles over the course of an hour. That's on average 1 car per minute. So you can still get in and out of your driveway very easily at that rate. So the concern over volumes, I know from the 21 years that I've been doing this in the industry that there's a perception of massive amounts of traffic with projects come through that don't match up with the actual amount of traffic that's going to be coming in and out. And again, county, these are based on numbers that the county has from studies of residential communities. Those are the numbers that come from that. It's actual volumes and actual numbers.
Can I ask you a question?
I believe we have just a couple other items to clarify from our side, so I'll turn it over to Doug.
Thank you, Doug Army, WGI again. Just wanted to clarify a couple things from the comments here. I wanted to speak a little bit to the density. I wanted to clarify that the current zoning for this property allows 14 dwelling units to the acre, which would be 205 units. That's permitted currently from the code. It's not zoned for a single family. It's zoned for 14 units to the acre. So that was one point. Wanted to respond to the caller regarding the buffer and the waiver we were requesting, and there actually is there's a minor berm for 100-year storm purposes, for drainage purposes, but we're not proposing a 25-foot buffer. We're not proposing a 25-foot high berm. It was, I think, implied. We're proposing a 20-foot wide buffer with a 6-foot vinyl fence, solid vinyl fence, with landscaping that exceeds it. And we don't think that's going to be any issue in parking stuff. They're built with standard. With that, I think that about covers it. I wanted to hand it over to Dante American Film to kind of talk about the other issue I heard a lot was property values.
Good evening, I'm Dante Frigeri, Mary Combs, 1400 Center Park Drive, West Palm Beach. One of the things that I kept hearing was that, the Bryn Mawr is a community and a neighborhood lived there for a long time, and they're all vested in the community. I can certainly appreciate that, because I'm a homeowner as well. And so you always have concerns when you hear about something new coming into your community. The only thing when we started this process over a year ago, almost 2 years now, literally, that we've been working on. The only thing that what we ever wanted to do with our community was just become a part of your community. That's all that we want. We want to join your community. And that was the whole process in which what we started. To Doug's point, he was saying that we talked about the current zoning and the number of units that you can get on the property itself, which was in excess of 200 units. Now, the current landowner had platted that property, and I think there's maybe 14 platted lots with 3 homes that are on there, and no other home has been built or constructed since then. To the mayor's point, as he was talking about, someone can go back here and build 45 homes, and then what that would do is that would create 95 trips coming down Lake Shore. So now, all the folks on Lake Shore would be impacted by that. They can sit here and say that, no, it's not going to be a big deal, but I can tell you that 95 trips up and down Lake Shore, constant, that's only one way in and out. We are constructing West Place. Mary Jones is constructing that roadway, West Place, and we're going to deed that back to the town. That road is going to cost about $170,000 to build. We're also going to construct a sidewalk to create interconnectivity to 45th Street. And so in addition to that, I just want to clarify something else. Right now, a very de minimis amount of traffic will be taking that left turn. So that, again, the Oregon access is not going to be ingoing and outgoing traffic. It's only outgoing traffic only, and it's de minimis. Right now, if we didn't build this project at all, you have 3 times the traffic on your other internal streets than you would even if we built the project that'll be traveling on board. So I just wanted to bring that up. The other point I wanted to make was to the caller regarding the bus stop and on 45th. Well, because of this community, the bus stop will be internal to the community. So the bus will come into the community, pick up the children or whatever, and then come back out South Place and, go on to whatever the middle school, elementary school, whatever, that you have there. So I wanted to clear that. I think that you did a great job on clarifying the berm. There is no berm. if it's just basically even with horizontal and not vertical. In addition to, we take it into account the buffering. We're trying to be mindful of the folks that are all around us, the adjoining neighbors. And with that being said, so we're putting up the 6 vinyl fence. In addition to that fence, we've exceeded the current town code as far as landscaping and created even more of a natural buffer. So that this way, both our residents and the existing residents get to enjoy that view. I've been back to the property several times. Again, if there was a real market for that type of a product, those homes and those lots would have been developed. I mean, the current landowner has tried to market that on numerous occasions to single-family developers. It just doesn't make sense to do it as on larger size lots from what we have right now. But again, when looking at that land use, this is what it could be. When we designed this site plan, we took that into account. We worked with the town staff. We thought we put together a very thoughtful plan. Could you bring up the architectural, please? One of the things is that we wanted to develop a kind of new, kind of interesting, contemporary style product. You know, I've heard a lot of conversation about diminishing their property values. That's by no means, that's not what's going to happen. One of the other things that, that I heard is that these aren't apartments, these are single-family, detached homes. This is fee simple. What that means is that each one of those units own the land that they set on. So, as far as diminishing property values, I don't think that at all. I can guarantee that we will elevate the property values all around us. We get talked about, a lot of sensitive things came out this evening, as well as every meeting that I've attended since then. And I've either sat in the front of the room or the back of the room, and I've really taken note to a lot of those things that have come about. And again, the one thing that goes through my mind is that, we're wanting to join Magnolia Park. We want to be part of the community. And it's not that we're trying to create something different from what you already have that's existing. That's all we want. That's all we want. So it's kind of like if someone sold a house in Bryn Mawr and somebody else moved, a new person moved into that neighborhood. You're going to welcome that person, and you would think you would want to welcome that person. That's all that we're asking to do. We've listened to the folks of the community. We've listened to the town council. We've listened to their consultants, and we've tried to do the best that we possibly can as far as trying to accommodate a lot of their concerns regarding some of the questions that they have. And so we know that traffic is one of the biggest things, and we fought with the county to try to make this a better situation than it possibly could be for anybody. Town manager has attended several of those meetings. You will see how we show up with a bunch of consultants and provide all the data to try to help make things better for you. One of the things about 45th is that we talk about the improvements there. Our traffic is, the improvements that we're making is to accommodate the additional traffic. And so, again, like anything else, any of the road systems that you have right now. So right now with West Place, that right-of-way has been there. They talked about the AutoNation, the driveway that they have that is conflicting. Well, I questioned the county about that because that doesn't meet the criteria, the spacing criteria. So what we had to do is we went ahead and we said, look, we're going to come up with another alternative. We're going to try to make this work. Heritage Homes will build the road and deed it back to the town of Magnolia Park. I can tell you that once it's all done and said, there will be residents using that roadway, and that's fine. It's a public road, and we know that we have to do it. One other thing I wanted to address was that you're right. There will be no construction traffic going through the Bryn Mawr community. We will have to build West Place, clear that roadway in order to access our site. And so, I wanted to make sure I covered all of the bases here as far as Emergency access. Now, one of the gentlemen who did call in talked about emergency access, and everywhere we drive through there. One of the very first things when we came to meet with the town was that Bryn Mawr was off limits as far as coming up Lake Shore and utilizing that for any purposes at all.
South, please.
South, please.
South, please.
South, please.
South, please.
South, please.
Lake Shore?
No, Lake Shore, okay.
Lake Shore, because of the fact that there's a current access there now. And that was to be for home emergency purposes only. And so therefore, we met with our planners, we met with the fire marshal, and they said that we were going to do that as an emergency access only. At any event that someone, if there was an accident, and any community has that. Any new community that's being developed in Palm Beach County or any county across the state of Florida has emergency access. We try to be very considerate in our planning and our design, not to diminish anybody's property values, to increase and elevate those. Early on, there was a slide about the increased values, and Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and kind of touch on some of the points. With the town, sure, this project will help generate resources for the town of Magnolia Park. To help and aid them with capital improvement programs or any other programs that they may have to help improve utilities, infrastructure, governmental buildings, or anything, repairs, whatever that they need to do. But again, the only thing we have ever wanted was to be part of your community. That's all that we've ever wanted. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Certainly our intent the whole entire time that we've been going through this process is very genuine and very sincere. Unfortunately, we're not going to make everybody happy. We just not. It's impossible. It's impossible. But we've been at it for almost 2 years. And I thought that at least by now we get some support. We've garnered some support for the project. Again, it's a thoughtful design. It's innovative, new design, try to help, create some buzz, try to, create more garden Magnolia Park, and certainly help the community and be part of the community. That's all we ever wanted to do. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Alrighty,
Because this is an important issue, we're going to take maybe no more than 5 minutes more. So if there's any questions for the developers, proposed developers. Okay, we have Mr. Owens, and then we have Ms. Wells. Okay.
Okay, Dante.
Okay, Dante and company, we're going to ask if you just stay up, just in case they have a question directly for you. Okay.
Still confused, it's on again, Lakeshore Drive, Lakeshore Drive. I'm still confused about the traffic coming eastbound on 45th Street. Okay, we have to make a left turn, and the residents living in Brahma section. And the other one's supposed to make a U-turn and go back down the west place and go back to their residence, right? I'm concerned, I haven't been given nobody's given me any clear direction to make the left turn. I mean, we live in there. You're not supposed to make a left turn either?
Okay. Alrighty.
I can answer that very quickly here, and I can clear up the confusion. So, I'm going to get used to these now. So, if you're on 45th Street, sir?
Okay, Mr. Owens.
Okay, Mr. Owens. Okay, he's going to answer your question. Okay. A sidebar.
So here's what happens. If you're at 45th Street, right? I'm living in that new community over there. I'm going to take a left, right? I'll make a U-turn, and I'm going to drive up to New West Place, and I'm going to go home. Here's the reason why I can't drive through the community. Because Boardman is only an exit only. It's not a two-way street. It's only one way. So if I'm within the community and I want to go east, depending upon where I'm going east, I can take a left on Boardman. But that's it. It's only exit only. It's not a dual access. You can't drive both ways on Boardman.
So that we're clear, Dante? Okay, I'm sorry, just before we do.
I'm sorry, just before we do, Ms. Wilson didn't hear, just to be clear, for Mr. Owens, when you state you can't, you're referring to persons who would live in the proposed development, not for other,
Yes, exactly. The people think that what happens is that only becomes a one way for the residents that live in communities. The residents that live in the enclave community will not be able to come up Lake Shore, take a left on Boardman and get into the community. They won't be able to do that.
Okay.
Now, for the residents that live on Boardman currently right now, yeah, sure, they can do that because their driveway's front Boardman.
Okay, we just need to be clear.
okay, we just need to be clear, I wasn't sure if that was
Okay,
clear.
I'm sorry. Ms.
Okay, I'm
Willis
sorry,
first, and then
Ms. Willis first, and then here, unless she wants to defer.
My question is, on the back end of this property, there is no other way, they're gonna build, I'm gonna get $100,000 road through West Place, they're gonna put $100,000 on the back end and go out another way, some type of way, back end on the side end of the property or something?
There's no other access point for it to access the property.
Where you gonna build it? Where you gonna build it? Like,
But there is property available. There isn't any area available.
Let me answer that on record. There's a right-of-way for West Place that exists today. There was a reserved connection for that road to be connected. There's a right-of-way that exists today. On all other sides of this project, first of all, you got railroad tracks. We can't cross those. There's no way to cross those. The railroad would not give us an approval to make a new crossing. The other sides are all private properties. There's no reserved right-of-way on the other sides of the property to make a connection.
Okay, that, Ms. Willis?
Okay, that, Ms. Willis, that was,
Ms. Moore?
okay, Ms. Moore?
Not all.
It'll be blocked off with curbing, so there won't be a connection anymore, coming from Boardman going west to West Place.
you're saying they're gonna be able to drive out.
At the end of Boardman, so he's referring to.
Why they didn't go there and they show it on the map?
Go to South Place, you go down Boardman, when you get to the end, that's where it's gonna be, so it would change, so there would be curbing and one way at the end of Boardman. So the residents that are on Boardman can still go in and out, when you get to the end of Boardman.
Doug, can you show on the map so it's clear? Can you please show on the
Can you
map
have a-
where will be the gate located? If you just go there and point it.
Dante, if you could.
Dante, if you could? Okay.
Okay.
Who's that?
Mr. Hagan? If you could
Mr.
do this,
Hagan, if you could do this, if you could go to the footprint that shows the platted
If you can go to
areas.
the other slide.
If you can go to the other slide that shows the platting, that was,
If you can go forward in your slides.
if you can go forward in your slides.
Okay,
Okay,
no, go to,
no, go to
the actual platting.
the actual platting. We're, okay.
No, this,
No,
yes, I
this,
understand, but if
yes,
they
I
can go to that
understand,
slide,
but if they can go to that slide, they can,
No, that's not the slide.
no, that's not the slide.
They still can go through.
You need to.
No one's gonna be able to stop them.
No. Just-
No, just,
You actually have the lots plotted.
we actually have the lots
A clearer
platted,
view.
a clearer view you had in your slides. Let's find it. Let's see if I can find it.
You're the one who needs to understand.
Okay, the slide
Okay, the slide
might be clear for her,
might be clear for
your
her
explanation.
in your explanation. Yep.
That one doesn't show, that one doesn't go far enough down to show Boardman, but
Ed?
Ed?
I can point it out on one of the other slides. This is
Yeah, it does. It shows the map here, then here. It does. Right, but at least it will show.
May I say
The
something?
difference that we made is at Boardman and West Place, it will be blocked off. There will be curbing that will be placed when you're driving west. It will stop at this end before it connects to West Place.
May I ask you a question?
I'll come to you.
I'll come to you. Let's finish here first.
More traffic going eastbound to connect.
She and I stay, she's here. We stay right in front of each other. Okay, that's why the two of us.
Why can't there be something to guarantee that they, like, they have the things in the street that you can only go in, you can't come back, do your wash your tires. Because what you're telling me, that these young kids, because I'm sure they're gonna be teenagers and everything driving here, they're gonna take a chance to go back through there. They're not supposed to, but they're gonna take a chance, so why don't you make it where you guarantee that they don't do that?
I think that particular item would be a liability and safety issue to have on the public right of way. If you couldn't install something like that, I think that, we're not, the unit car lot's on private property, this is a public right of way.
But you all are lying.
This is a public right of way.
You'll have a gate that's gonna go around.
That's what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, just point of order. We have one conversation at a time. Okay.
There's some restrictions on what we can do in public right of way, and I know that
What
something forward.
What we've discussed.
What we've discussed, and this goes to her point,
Where Ms. Willis
lives, at the dirt rock called it the turnabout.
We had this conversation.
We had this conversation before, that if indeed, West Place is further on from the turnabout.
If indeed.
Right, that if indeed, at the turnabout, you had where, for instance, they're coming into West, they're going off into West Place, that there's no ability to turn at all, whether that be a wall or a fence or a gate, whatever it is. Because we talked about emergency entrances, what lockbox for emergency.
Consider putting bollards possibly there?
Because
if indeed, if approved, then yes, that's one of the concerns that we've had that conversation, to Ms. Moore's point, to ensure that there's no possibility of turning off and coming that way.
So, one of the things, Mayor, and respectfully, we added an elevated curb there, so that people wouldn't drive over. I mean, it would take a lot for someone to drive over, they'd probably ruin their car. However, in the event that when we do get to the next level, we will go ahead and consider adding bollards there, at that curb area to prevent anybody from trying to drive over itself. Again, so they would not only, smash the front of their car, with that, but they completely just.
Right,
and so that we're clear, if indeed it was approved, that would be a condition of approval.
Right, to make sure that those.
Right, to make sure that those kind of things are not.
That's why I'm offering that up, is that, one of the things is that, certainly, the elevated curb, which is used everywhere, and that's to prevent people from, or cars to jump and climb over it. However, if, again, another, point that we as the developer saying that we can go ahead and put those bollards in to try to help accommodate or to ensure that someone doesn't drive over that. Now, and again, if that's a condition of approval, that's, certainly, that's something we will consider.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks so much. Vice Mayor Green, and then, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Green, and then Vice Mayor, then we're going to begin to wrap up.
When you talk about the elevated curve, is he talking about where you have those rocks, is he considering that the elevated curve?
No, now you're.
You know her yard.
We will be installing the elevated curve.
Where will the elevated curve? That's what I'm saying, based on her, you say you know her yard.
I didn't say I know her yard, she has the rocks up on the yard, but her question, and knowing where she was, her question was is that preventing traffic from going through Borden. We're here respectfully, and certainly, we're here to listen, and to certainly take in everything that we hear, and to go ahead and to try to plan the best project that we possibly can. Her question was, is that what is to prevent people from going all the way through on Boardman? And we told her that there was going to be an elevated curve that was there. Didn't feel that that would be something that would preclude someone. It works all over the country. They use elevated curves to control traffic from going in a different direction. We would be more than happy to put bollards in the roadway to try to prevent that from happening at the top of the curve and ensure that no one does.
Okay, right.
More than I know.
Yes, that's only a one-way going in and out. Now, again, can I prevent someone from doing that? No, but it's kind of like you have one-way streets here. It doesn't preclude anybody from driving down one-way streets.
Okay, Vice Mayor, then we'll.
Okay, Vice Mayor, then we'll start wrapping up.
And I want to say to you, out there in the team, I appreciate you all listening to the comments of the members and considering whatever can be done to accommodate their concerns. I really appreciate that. My biggest concern will be safety and the traffic. That's my biggest concern.
And it's one of our concerns as well. I mean, so, should we get the opportunity to advance, it's not only the safety of the current residents, it would be the safety of the proposed and future residents as well. And so, we work very diligently with the town, the staff, we work very diligently with the fire marshal as far as emergency access, and we work with the county and their transportation. The highest level of transportation folks at Palm Beach County, we work with them. And so they are very well aware of the project. They have made some conditions. They have made some recommendations. We've worked with them for months and months and months to try to get an alignment where it was acceptable to them. And this is what we came up with. There's been several meetings, again, with very high-level county officials on this project and the improvements out on the 46th. So I think that everybody has the best interest in the safety of everybody that can be traversing that road.
I wanted to say, these residents have experienced traffic issues that are above and beyond what you see the project bringing in. Residents are already frustrated. Not only with the traffic back up on 45th Street, but people who are backing up on 45th Street think they can cut through the neighborhood to get out, and they end up going around and having to come right back out and causing more of a backup. So their concerns are real, saying, okay, now you're gonna bring a whole new route. The other point I wanted to ask you, in your development phases, we're talking about a total 162 units. Within the first year of development, if you should get the opportunity to develop this project, approximately how many units we even conceive could be developed within the first year?
I mean, we scheduled this project, it's probably going to be about a 3-year project. It'll take that about at least that period of time, if not longer, to set this all out there.
And then within a year's time, we can look at probably 50 to 60 developed homes first year. But then from that point, if we find there's more concerns, what concessions would you give to the community to try to accommodate?
Well, I'm not sure what other concessions we could make, because the transportation study was based on the whole entire project as a whole. So when they do the study, and I'll let Chris speak to that, it's considering all of it, built all out at one time. So for example, for the first year or so, any traffic that might be on Morgan may be extremely diminished. You may not get any trips out there at all, depending upon what's going on. Maybe in year 2, or after a certain number of units have been sold, then maybe you might start to see those. But the report, or the study that's been done, the analysis, takes into account the whole entire project as it's built out and not incrementally. So again, if we would look at it in a practical matter, incrementally, so we would say it's only 17 trips, correct? Yeah. Okay. On board, so if you have to break that down into thirds, it's basically just 4 trips incremental.
Well, those figures to you may sound fine on paper. They don't really sound.
I'm sorry, Phil, if we can have just.
I'm sorry, Phil, if we can have just one conversation, thanks.
Here's the flip side to that. saying that it works good on paper, but it may not be that way, correct? You're right. And you're right. And what happens is, we may be saying that it may be 17 trips on Boardman, but it may not be any at all. Because to tell you, if I'm going to West Palm Beach, I want to get there the quickest way possible. I'm going to drive down West Place. I'm going to go on 45th, take a right at Congress, and go straight up and go over the bridge, or depending on where I'm going. Or I'm just going to jump right on 95 and come across.
Yeah, but if I'm going to the grocery store, if I'm going to go to the pharmacy, if I'm going to go get some gas, if I'm going to go to the hospital, if I'm going to go to the school, I got to go Australian now. So that doesn't make sense to get on 95 to go all the way around.
And again, because that's how you shop your goods and services. But again, the traffic analysis takes into account all the projects.
If I may, just for the record, Councilwoman Green is stepping off the desk for a moment. Yes, I just acknowledge. Yes, I just acknowledge that you're going to be stepping off the desk for a moment. Your sign. Your sign. You sure? So you don't have to. You sure? So you don't have to step off for a minute? It's up to you. It's up to you. Okay. I was acknowledging your sign. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks. So noted. Okay. So with that, any other questions? If not, then we're.
Pretty much covered what I wanted to clarify. I mean, I'm hearing, and I want to but all considerations are being made.
Alrighty. I think we've probably had full discussion. This was necessary, and because we're going to make sure that all questions, all concerns are attended to. So before we wrap up, what we're going to do, a last question that, at least from council perspective, I think, is a question to Dante. This is rhetorical. There was the comment or legitimate concern relative to we got an apartment complex here, we got an apartment complex there. So one of the conversations, that we've had repeatedly, Dante, of course, representing the developer, was deed restrictions. Now, what that basically does, that when you do that, it sort of qualifies it that the owners there, let's just say, for instance, and we've seen developments where investors will come in and buy 15 units. You can't live in 15 units. So what is the intent? To rent them. Right. And so my conversation sort of was that, one of the other conditions, if approved, would be deed restricted. Will you allow that to be one of the covenants in your HOA? That simply states that, for instance, no more than 5% or none, whatever the conversation or will of the council would be, could be rented at any point in time. That prohibits it from becoming a rental community. When you do that. And other communities, and I remember one mayor that I talked with when they were building nice townhomes. Have you guys considered? He said, no, they had already approved it, and it became a rental community. My point being, there may be some things that we haven't thought about, but in the year and a half, almost 2 years, we've had conversations to ad nauseam, trying to make sure that if built, that it has the least amount of negative impact possible, and that's where we need everybody's help. So to speak. So, but.
I just wanted to add to that, a great point, and we have spent an exorbitant amount of time on that. One of the things as a developer that we do in a lot of our communities is that we try to prevent that from happening. Now, there's specific language that we have in all of our communities that restrict that. We have worked with the city manager, as well as with the town legal counsel, and have told them and provided them, here's kind of the section in our code for our deed restrictions. This is what it says. We think that it's pretty strong. We paid a bunch of lawyers to come up with really good, language that's got some teeth in it, so to speak. And so we even offered up to them to say, if you would like to propose some additional language, we would be happy to consider it. We certainly understand the point. Our project is simple. It's a for sale only unit. We're not trying to make this a rental community or a apartment complex, because it's not. However, again, we want to maintain the integrity of our community for all residents as well. And so if there's some language that you want to propose, we would be happy to entertain it and review it and work with the legal counsel on that. make sure that, again, we join together on that, but certainly happy to do that.
Thank you so much. So, quick comment here. Okay, a quick comment here, and then we're going to go to Nilsa, then we're going to wrap up.
Made the statement that they are not going to make it a rental unit. I refer this question to the attorney. They don't have it in their townhome. They don't have any control over that because will there be a homeowners association in this unit, in this development?
There are draft HOA documents which are under review right now. And as the applicant indicated, Ms. Bernard has received that language and is looking at it. And
So they will have an HOA.
So they will have an HOA.
So then he cannot control whether it's a rental unit or not, am I right?
They can put things in their HOA docs. And I believe that's what the applicant said, that there is language in there. I don't have that document with me tonight, but.
You will manage the unit? You will manage the unit? May I ask you a question? What would be the difference between you and Tiffany Lake? They have an HOA. They have an HOA also.
He may not,
What happened with Tiffany Lake? There was an investigation.
Yes, they have an HOA. I couldn't even begin to tell you the differences.
They are governed by a homeowners association. They have a homeowners association. They have homeowners association documents. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I rent my unit. I am an owner. This is what I'm saying. I have the homeowners document. I rent my unit. Yes, they do, sir. Okay. You answered the question.
Our documents. No, it's okay. I want to.
I just didn't want you to rush your breath.
So we provided your legal counsel, town legal counsel, with our HOA documents. Ms. Bernard is currently reviewing them. We've had several conversations about proposing additional language, should they feel necessary, particularly for the rental component. Something that is very sensitive, we agree as well. We think that we've got some pretty strong language in our documents, but if there's anything, again, that you want to add to it.
absolutely, and for the
record, I have it here and I reviewed it. It doesn't address to the extent that you and I have had conversations previously. Right, and so therefore the request. One of the things, of course, just from a historical standpoint, Tiffany Lakes was made mention of. What they did not do, there were no covenants in their agreement. Saw that as well. There was nothing restricting any owner from renting their properties. In fact, so much so that one investor, and I know the school with his daughter, came in about like 75 units. There's no way in the world one owner is going to live in 75 units. So it became a rental property. However, when you insert the language, and because of that history, that's why I keep drumming this to Dante and so forth. We don't want it to become Tiffany Lake or Catalina because they failed to do that. And so we don't want to fail to do that by not having some language.
And certainly, we have echoed and that ever since day one, when we came in with our application. I talked to Mitty about that. When it comes time to craft that language, we would be more than happy to provide you any document with all of our.
Control that.
I had a read through it.
Just enough.
Alrighty, one quick question here, then this one, then we're gonna wrap up.
You just said something about 90%. What happens after you get past the 90%?
Well, what happens is that, so as a developer, all we do is develop community. So we'll go through, we'll build the community. And as we continue to sell units in the community, we bring on the residents in the community and we teach them how to manage an HOA. One of the things that you've not heard that's pretty rampant is that a developer will come in and build out community and education. We say invest in any community, and what we do is, as we start building the units, we bring on residents and teach them how to run the HOA. So, by the time we get to 90% of the units, we actually have the residents themselves are on the board, and they know how to run a community. They know how to work with the property management association. They know how to enforce the deed restrictions. They know how to send the items out to bid for the goods and services, the mowing of the lawns and those types of things. So we've gone above and beyond to try to help educate and teach them how to manage a community. Because if you look at any HOA that's established, their residents are on the board. They do hire a management company. Matter of fact, where I live, we have an HOA management company. And I'm one of the board, and I sit on the board of the HOA, and I'm one of the residents. So that's the premise of that. We're trying to help educate them and bring them on board instead of leaving them high and dry like most communities do. And typically when that happens, the deed restrictions aren't enforced. So again, our intentions are good. You know, we are very diligent about the communities that we build. We just don't build one and then just walk away. We are completely invested in the community, the overall community that we're in. Again, we just want to join this community. It's all we want to do.
Right, and the last thing, and I, again, just being transparent, and of course, legal will have to determine whether or not it's a possibility, that I'd like to see, the type of language, if approved, would be that, at least on a biannual basis, they provide to the town, their rent rolls, right, so that we can see, or lease and/or rolls, so that we can see exactly if a unit is rented, and if they exceed that 5-10%, whatever is agreed, we find them. But of course, I'm just kind of stating what I would like to see as language. Don't know that it can happen, but.
We'd have to look at that, Mayor. I can't say.
No, I'm saying, so we don't know, but we'd have to have legal look at it to see. But just so that the attendees can understand that we're trying to attend to everything possible as it relates to the project, if indeed it's built.
That was the reason for this.
Okay, that was the reason for the statement. Okay, Ken, and then we're going to wrap up.
Mayor, thank you. I can't let the opportunity go by, and this isn't specific to this project, but just in general about notification. As a staff, we knew how the conversation could go, and we're very aware that there's a lot of concern and that people want to comment. One thing we started doing right after COVID, we started getting with legal and saying, okay, this project coming, how are we going to ensure public communication? So we've been all over that. With regard to the clerk's office, if you've ever known a town clerk, Sherry notwithstanding, aside from Sherry, if you've ever known a town clerk, these are the most serious-minded people when it comes to public meetings. And Sherry to the top degree of that. So I want to say, first of all, I'll apologize and take responsibility if you didn't get notification. I don't know how that could have happened. We sent them out. It's on our website. We purchased a legal ad. I want you to know you've got a staff here. Take me out of the equation. You've got a staff among the clerk or deputies, the utility guys, public works, that I can say honestly go above and beyond every day in one respect or another with citizens. I see it every day, and I think most of you, if you'll think about it, you can come up with a lot of examples. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for that. That's really good.
So we can spend the next 3 to 5 minutes, Nelson?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, council members, I reserve my statement until I listen the applicant. So I just want to go over briefly one of the highlights of this proposal. Throughout the review process, we have asked the applicant to provide neighborhood parks on the community. And I'm very happy to report that the applicant heard us, and they are providing neighborhood parks on the community. I don't know if you can show where are the neighborhood parks, please? So, and that's even with the playground equipment, there are also benches. So that was something that we requested from the review point of view. So that was proposed now. Also, just to clarify, there are further reviews that need to happen. The preliminary site plan is the next step. At preliminary site plan, there will be much further detailed site planning to be reviewed. So, in saying that, I also want to point it out that with regard to the proposed facade and architectural design, the applicant has received in many occasions comments from staff, from the town planner, from myself, that we would like to see the proposed architectural design needs to be improved by providing additional aesthetic elements, such as door, window design, railing, balconies, color and material combination, roof lines, and others. So that is the aesthetic of this neighborhood is very important for the property value of the entire community that is surrounding this neighborhood. So I understand there is still one more phase, the preliminary site plan, where the applicant will have an opportunity to present different elevations. We also included on the staff report other elevations from other communities that are close by, that are actually from the applicant website. So that's just one last item that I wanted to add to this discussion. And obviously, the applicant is requesting the waiver with regard to the buffer area. And the PUD code very clearly talks about the PUD, this alternative should introduce a variety of architectural solutions. So that's part of the PUD code that is referring to the architectural design. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate it. Is there anything from staff? Any last comments? Any last comments from the developer?
Just again, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to come and visit and to discuss our project. Again, I cannot continue to stress that working with the staff, town manager, the other folks that we've come in contact with, we believe that, we put together a very thoughtful design. I know that prior to us coming on board, that there was another apartment developer who had this property under contract. I had an opportunity to speak to them, and certainly knew what they were proposing, and the density was far more exceeded than what we were proposing here. Again, but I don't want to compare our project to someone else's, right? So all I want to do is be able to propose what we're offering the town of Magnolia Park, an opportunity to become part of this community, the overall community, be part of the neighborhood itself. And so certainly, I think that we've done our best. We put our best foot forward. We've tried to be mindful of everything that we've heard. But however, we have to be realistic. We listen to everything. However, I'm never going to make everybody happy. Right? Anybody, any one of us in this room can never make everybody else happy because of the fact that we're all wired differently. We all have different thoughts, opinions, we have different ways of viewing things. However, we try to take into account all of those things, and this is what we've come up with. And so hopefully, we'll garner on approval, and we can move to the next level. And again, as Melissa pointed out, the next level, there's more detail that needs to be provided, some things to be talked about, and the mayor's point as far as the parking on the CCNR, the takeaway documents, and, create some language. So, it's in your hands, and so we'll see what happens.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Just before we have Keith to give us our final comments, it's been on my heart, so let me, if I can take a 30 seconds of personal privilege. Council? Okay.
First, let me apologize.
First, let me apologize that if indeed, when Councilwoman Green made the comment, if I seemed a little frazzled, let me just kind of share my heart.
I'm a public servant.
I'm a public servant. I always have been. For 30-something years, I've worked with the state of Florida as a public servant. I currently work with the Agency for Healthcare Administration, AHCA, and so if there's any medical folks, don't run, because they run out of the building when we walk in.
So we're the
Right, and so we're the regulatory agency that monitors home health agencies, dialysis centers, assisted living facilities, nursing homes. So what I do now as a servant, I go into facilities. I spend time in situations. I'll give one example. I was down way in Dania 2 weeks ago, one Friday night, at a facility. They got their curative tests back. Those are the mouth, not the nasal, but the swabs. And I, as a leader of the team, we were there for an investigation, complaint investigation. Around 2:30 that afternoon, they walked in and said, "We just got our test results back. Everybody in the facility is positive."
I got to stop everything.
I got to stop everything we're doing, tell the team, okay, we're full gear. Okay, everything just changed. Here's what we got to do now. Long story short, I left out of there at 10 o'clock because we had to get everybody out of the building. So because of the nature of the work that I do, I don't spend a whole lot of time at 5712. I have family members that live there, my grandkids, and I will not expose them. So when I hear somebody say, well, you don't live there, they don't know why I'm not there part of the time. Right, and this is just generally speaking. Right, and so that if I have to resign from this council because I refuse to expose, I don't go around my mom. If I've gone to a facility and there were some COVID positive residents there or patients there, I don't go around anybody. The other property allows me the ability to go home and doff, right, get out of everything, down to my skivvies. I take my Clorox fabric sanitizer, spray everything, put it in one basket, go take a shower, and without exposing anybody. So if indeed the attorney, and I'll speak with him, he says, well, Mayor, because of that, you do no longer meet the requirements of residency, I will resign from this council. Because I will not expose my mom, anybody else. So, because I'm an elected official, we live in fish bowls, and you have a right to know that's information so that you get it and you can share it with others, so that when you hear misinformation, you can say, well, no, here's the reason. That was on my heart, and I just needed to share that with you. Okay? And thanks so much for allowing me to share that. All righty, Keith?
All right, so you're sitting as the Planning and Zoning Board, and the board's action would be a motion to recommend approval or denial of the master land use plan to the town council. In conjunction with that motion, the board should address the request for the waiver and any other conditions of approval. I think there was discussion about additional bollards to be put in as a possible condition. By code, all the language about the HOA documents is in association with site plan review. That's actually one of the things that's also clear about this code. So that's not part of this approval process, but that will be part of the site plan process by code. So that's where you are at the moment. A motion to recommend to the town council. If it's motion to approve, you can, you also should address the waiver by approval or denial and any additional conditions. Once that motion is done, your work as the Planning and Zoning Board will be concluded, and then you will need to adjourn. You can immediately reconvene as the town council to accept the Planning and Zoning Board's recommendation as a formality, because that's what the code requires.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Councilman Green?
To the attorney, because I know I've never seen this to happen before, where the approval of HOA, how would it impact the vote on this? Or would it impact it at all?
That's not part of this vote under your code. That's part of the site plan approval process, and specifically that requires a statement from the town attorney approving the condominium or HOA documents.
So it wouldn't affect it.
That's not part of this master land use plan. Action does not include the HOA docs.
Okay, so it would, okay,
That will come, if this gets approved and we get the site plan, that will will come then.
Okay, because I've never known it to, I've never known it to happen before.
Yeah, that'll come with site plan. Yeah, that'll come with site plan approval.
Okay.
Other questions of Keith?
Other
I'm on
questions
your
of Keith?
side with that.
before-
I'm on your side with that one. Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Ready, any other questions, council, of Keith before we begin?
Yes, I just want to tell you about the engineering recommendation. Your statement that the master plan has not been adjusted according to recommendations. Can we table the decision for the master plan until those accommodations are in place?
I'm having trouble understanding.
I didn't understand there either.
The engineer's recommendation, page 2 of 5, the bottom paragraph.
Can you address that?
What
Can you
page?
address that?
What
Nelson? I'm
page?
not sure. I think the app.
Sheila, what page?
Page 205 at the bottom.
205.
The bullet at the bottom.
Oh, I see. I don't know what the answer is.
Oh, I'm sorry. 205.
205.
5.
So,
I think it's more in the back.
Hold on, please.
zoning comments, justification, southern design group comments. Thank you.
Two of five. Page two.
Two.
Page two.
All the way on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Everything?
you have it there?
Those, you have to look at that. You have to look at that, and then you have to look at the applicant's response to all the questions, which is, for that particular comment, the applicant's response is, the beginning of page 5 and the top of page 6 of 9 of the WGI response comments, which is part of the, application. And I have it right here so I can read it, but by all means, you should give the applicant the opportunity to address that as well. I believe the answer was that we feel no mention of off-site roadway improvements is necessary within the master land use standards section of the justification statement. Please refer to the traffic study previously provided, which discusses this in detail. I believe that was the response from the applicant to that comment in the Southern Design Group letter, but again, by all means, I would recommend letting the applicant have an opportunity to answer that question.
Good evening again, Chris Hagan with Finley Warren Associates, and yes, from the Southern Design Group, there were 3 comments that have been in a few of the letters that we've received back. We have each time responded, showing how the level of service standards are met, and also outlining the various traffic improvements that have already been committed by this project. Through those in detail tonight, you probably don't want to go through that again, but again, that we have already agreed and it went through a very thorough review process with the county to a number of traffic improvements. The town consultant asked for these additional ones. On top of that, we demonstrated that the level service standards in the code are met without them being provided. This is just another add-on on top of it, but it's even more than really providing it, and it's not needed to meet the code requirements.
Okay,
Any other questions?
ready? Any other questions? We want to make sure that we address any issue or concerns.
Ready? I guess maybe the obvious.
Ready? I guess maybe the obvious, if the council decides not to approve.
That's why I looked at him. That's why I looked at him.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
That's why I looked at you.
That's the question. That's the question, that's the answer. It's up to you to make the decision.
Well, I'm lost. So we have to make the decision based on what he said and not what we read?
You have everything you heard tonight. You've got all the correspondence, the comments, the responses to the comments. That's.
Well, I have no comment.
Yeah, I think
the specific question that is being unasked here, knowing the council members, if the council decides, no, never mind, then I'll let you take it.
So if there's a denial of the master site plan, then ball will be back in the applicant's court to come back with a different version of the master site plan for further consideration. As I said earlier, that's where this would go. That's where this would go. The step we're at now is approval of the master land use plan. I apologize for saying site plan, that's not accurate. The master land use plan. So a master land use plan has to be approved before any permits can be issued and before a plat could be finalized, and those are, the site plan and the platting are the last things after the master land use plan.
Okay, rhetorically asked, if indeed the council decided to approve it with conditions.
Conditions of approval. As I said, I remember the one discussion about bollards as being a possible condition of approval. The conditions for the master land use plan should be related to the issues in the land use plan. And like I said, the HOA documents are not part of this. In my opinion, getting into the details of the landscaping and the playground equipment and the colors and that sort of thing really is more at the site plan level, as opposed to this is really overall configuration, the roads, the use, and again, the waiver, and just the big picture concept for the project.
Certainly, I understand. I just want to make sure that everyone is clear. So the last question, Keith?
Okay, last question.
Last question, so that everyone here in attendance and also who is still with us by way of Zoom and YouTube, that
If approved.
if approved, and again, nothing has been decided, if approved, then done deal, they can build it.
Question to you.
Question to you.
If the master land use plan is approved tonight, then the applicant will come back with a site plan for site plan approval, which then gets into the very specific buildings of what the buildings look like and the densities and the landscaping and the HOA document language. And then they have to also, they can simultaneously with that bring a proposed plat, which has to be approved by the town council, and the site plan has to be approved, and the plat has to be approved and recorded. Then they would be able to apply for building permits and start.
But not a done deal if approved.
If this is not approved.
Not a done deal. Not a done deal if approved. I'm just.
If the master land use plan is not approved tonight, then it's up to the applicant to either.
No. If approved.
Then they would come back to site plan and platting.
Nilsa, I see you. You got a quick minute?
Yes, the next step is the preliminary site plan, and that's when is the opportunity for the applicant to provide further details.
I think so. Alrighty, so with that,
and we've had full discussion.
Thank you so much for staying.
Thank you so much for staying by and providing comments and your concerns. We really appreciate it. There's a lot of heartburn, no doubt about it. And I think that if indeed traffic was not the issue, I think we'd all be in agreement.
It is an issue.
And it is an issue. We all traverse 45th. It's an issue. There's no way around it. We can't say it isn't. It is.
Looking at the total watershed.
Looking at the total watershed is how I have to look at it. That's my charge given to you, given from you to me to kind of look at everything in the efficacy of all proposals presented to us, and so I have to approach it in that fashion. So with that, if there's no other council comments or question, anything else from
legal or from our planner?
From legal or from our planner?
Anything from administration?
Anything from administration? So that being said, at this point in time, you have before you a request. Excuse me.
For the approval of a
proposed master land use plan, the MLUP, the enclave at Magnolia Park. Of course, the applicant Waltman Group Incorporated are requesting a proposed master land use plan approval to approve the proposed master land use plan for the 162 dwelling unit multifamily townhome development on 12 parcels of land totaling 14.6 acres at Lakeshore Drive, northeast and north. That is the request before you tonight. That being said, and all that the conversation held, what is your pleasure?
Chair will entertain a motion.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Mayor, my reservations are based on traffic concerns, and I'm not satisfied with what is here tonight. There's any further consideration that is made. I hope we can try to come to an agreement on. I see the advantages of having projects of this nature in our community. I'm just very concerned that I can see the traffic plan for that. That level, I'm not going to be able to recommend an approval at this time until further consideration.
Motion has been made
Okay,
to.
motion has been made to deny the applicant's request. Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Has it been properly moved and seconded? Any questions on the motion?
Seeing that there are no questions.
Seeing that there are no questions, roll call, please.
No.
So
No.
hang on.
I'm sorry.
So hang on.
I'm sorry, just so we have some
A
listeners
yes
for a minute.
vote
Yes
is to approve the motion to deny. A no vote is to not approve the motion to deny. So if you vote yes, you're voting to deny. If you vote, it's backwards. If you vote no. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks so much,
Okay,
Keith.
so with that.
I'd
Okay,
vote
so with
yes.
that,
I'd vote yes. I need to say it again?
Yes, just so that-
Yes, just so that we're clear on the record. Roll call, please, again.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
No.
No.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks so much.
We appreciate it. Thanks so
We
much.
appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay, so with
Also,
that,
okay, so with that,
hold on there.
if you hold on there, I think there's something else we have as well.
Yes, so what we have to do now.
Yes, so what we have to do now is take that before the council. We're going to do that
So,
real quick.
before we do that,
So before we do that, council.
Okay, well, we need a couple.
Okay, well, we
And
need a
basically
couple
it's
minutes.
just perfunctory.
And basically, it's
We
just
gotta now
perfunctory. We got to
sit
now
as the
take it,
council,
sit as the council
ratify the
to
vote just-
ratify the vote just recommended by the P and Z board. Okay?
Okay, and just while we're waiting for the.
And just
tape,
while
thank
we're
you so
waiting
much.
for the
Really
tape, thank you so, we really appreciate your input. Thank you so much, we
gotta go.
appreciate it.
To adjourn, go to.
You ready?
So at this point in time,
Okay.
we'll
So at this point in time, we'll take a
recommendation.
recommendation, so I can have your
Got
tape.
on my
So I think adjourn and then reconvene
Yes,
as
if we
the
can get a
council.
motion for adjournment for the P and Z.
Second.
Second.
Has been properly moved and second, all in favor, aye?
All in favor,
Aye. All in favor, aye? Aye. Pull same sign.
So we're gonna
It is
get
carried.
started,
So we're going to get
very quick
started
council
with a
meeting.
very quick council meeting, takes all about a minute to just ratify the decision just made.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks so much.
Where's Mark?
Where's my, there we go.
You ready?
Okay, ready?
Thank you so much, and thanks so
Okay,
much.
thank you so much, and thanks so much for standing by. At this point in time, we're going to
Called in session. the
called in
Autonomy
session the Autonomy Park regular council meeting of September 22nd. I'm sorry?
Special.
Special meeting of September 22nd, 2020 in the session. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Thank you so much. At this time. let
Thank you
us
so much. At this time, let us stand for our invocation, please.
I'm sorry. It's been a long.
I'm sorry, it's been a long day. I was in the field. Okay, with that, and I'm looking for my agenda, the only item before us, of course, is the recommendation.
It's the recommendation.
Is the recommendation that was forwarded to us from the Planning and Zoning
As it relates to.
as it relates to the request for the proposed master use plan for the enclave. And of course, at this point in time, what is your pleasure as it relates to that particular recommendation from the P and Z? If I can have your attention, please. Okay.
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 So
Alrighty,
we'll call
so
into session.
we'll call into session. We have called into session already.
So the
Okay,
only item.
so the only item for the agenda for this meeting, the special meeting, of course, would be the
recommendation.
the recommendation that was forwarded to us from the Planning and Zoning Board as it relates to the request for approval of proposed master use plan, which of course was a recommendation from the P and Z, was to deny the application. What is your pleasure as it relates to that particular recommendation?
Is there a motion to?
Is there a motion to approve that recommendation?
Is there a motion to?
Is there a motion to approve that recommendation from the P and Z board?
I'll make the motion, we approve that recommendation.
Motion has been made.
Motion has been made to accept the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Boards to deny the request for the proposed master land use plan, the enclave that was submitted. There's a second to that motion.
Okay, it has been seconded.
Okay, it has been seconded.
Questions on that motion?
Any questions on that motion?
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I know.
I know.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks so much. And thanks so much. We appreciate your attendance. And thanks so much. We appreciate it. Okay, thanks.
So at this point in time.
Okay, so at this point in time, seeing that that was the only item before, so motion for adjournment
Motion to adjourn.
has been moved.
Second.
Seconded by McConnell. All in favor, aye. Aye. Pose same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. You guys have a great evening.
Oh, okay.
Threw us a curve.
Privately or?
Didn't think that you would be. No one even, I was a lady. We talked about it, so I did not say anything to be disparaging, because there are people that are doing it. So that is why I said, let's talk that over. So I apologize.
Well, the first time.
Because I couldn't.
All right, everybody. See you, Keith, nice to see you, Keith.
All the time.